like a RuPaul's Drag Race, like elimination thing. That's how he settles matters in court, He's like, shy away, and then they just get dragged to the torture chamber.
I was about to say, Raisin doesn't walk in, he comes down the stripper pole.
Quack. Welcome to the Little Duck Book Club with Duck number 1,
Ren, and Duck number 2,
Anna, and welcome to us suffering again. That's going to be the introduction for the rest of the video.
Another masochism episode for us.
A masochism episode. Now you get my joke. I was like, why are you buffering so hard? That was a banger joke.
I think you should have elongated the Maas part a bit more, then I would have immediately clocked it. But it's okay, we got it.
For elaboration, after we have fought through the rereads of the ACOTAR series, not the whole series, the first 3 books, I personally have read Silver Flames, but I haven't reread it. And I think neither of us has read Frost and Starlight.
I haven't, but I have watched detailed summaries of both.
I have also...
So I feel a little more informed now than I was before. And I remember writing to you, oh yeah, I'm listening to a summary of Silver Flames, and it makes me like the series even less than before.
I don't know whether we watched the same video, but I was like, damn, I should check up on my Silver Flames knowledge too. So I watched, I think it was a 4.5 hour video. I watched it, at first I watched it as twice the speed, but I forgot her name, but she already talks fast. So I had to work up to twice the speed, listen to 10 minutes at this speed and then another 10 minutes.
Now, I watched the Carrie Can Read ones. I also watched her Crescent City summaries to get up to speed for, you presenting the third one to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, hers were good.
But are they the ones where she has the pictures?
Yeah, she has a wall with the images, and she has red hair, yes.
We watched the same video, yeah. So both on the same page regarding most of the things.
Both with the same bias coming into for the Frost and Starlight.
No, you're more biased than me, so it's just...
No, I meant, but in what information we know about it because we watched the same.
I actually read the book, the terror is deeply ingrained in me.
Well, Frost and Starlight you didn't read. We just covered those. But Silver Flames, you know all about Cassian's cock, I presume.
The velvet wrapped steel, you mean?
Well, aren't they all?
It's just
the same for all of them.
It's just his new sword. I don't know what you're talking about. He picked it up from this blacksmith.
Nesta's learning swordplay of a very specific variety.
Both. Okay, so this video, derailing it in the first couple of minutes.
Can you tell we're procrastinating?
No. So we read the series, and we had a couple of more thoughts. It already happened while recording the videos. In the ACOWAR video, where was it the ACOMAF? No, it was ACOWAR, right? Where we're little interlude here. We want to talk about the pregnancy of things. So sometimes thoughts come up afterwards, and additionally to that, now that we have an extra perspective again, you want to talk about the whole series in retrospect. What do we think of it now? I guess. Stuff that still grinds our gears. There's probably gonna be a bit of repetition, but we're funny enough, so it's
if you're listening to any content from us about ACOTAR, chances are you've already consumed other content about ACOTAR, so repetition is probably not bothering.
Yeah.
There's just so much to say about the works of Sarah J. Maas. Most of it not good, but
Most of it not good. It wasn't an effort, but I made the conscious decision to write down a positive thing as the first thing on my notes in retrospect, because I was like, like it starts with credit where credit is due. That's the line in my comments, and I'd like to get this out beforehand because I don't want these, like, it's not just bashing or anything. This series got people to read a lot, and it managed to build like a community that has people create a lot. I feel like it was one of those like fandom media moments where it kickstarts lots of people starting to create fan art and cosplays, like book cosplays and videos. There's like 10,000 different projects of people creating trailers for the books or recreating scenes, like actually filming the scenes and stuff. And I think not every series can motivate that high of a number of people, and I think that's maybe not deserved, but commendable, you know?
If we're doing positivity, I will also say, credit where credit is due. ACOTAR has spawned an incredible number of imitators, which most books never manage, regardless of how popular they get. But ACOTAR is kind of like genre defining for what has emerged as romantasy. Not like these things didn't exist before, they were just shelved under romance, and now these ones are shelved under fantasy, for good or ill, but this is something it has done. And again, as people who have read things that were clearly, obviously inspired by ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or generally Sarah J. Maas's work, somehow ACOTAR still manages to be one of the best ones out there that are mainstream and very popular, is what I will say about it.
Yeah, I think if we go for, like, whenever people write, oh, this book has a bargainable reason,
Yes.
you know, in that regards, yes. I think it also inspired a lot of people to just write and go for it with books that did turn out better than ACOTAR, because it was just about the motivation and, like, seeing the whole wave of people being like, oh my god, there is an audience for this, and it's louder than we expected it to be, because it's not, as you said, shelved under, oh, it's just romance anymore, right? It's its own thing now. And whether the series deserves this kind of popularity aside, but that's great. I know a lot of people, me included, who started reading again, and the first books they were recommended were these, and it worked out well enough to keep you motivated. My first one was Six of Crows, but then after that, it was ACOTAR, so... What a whiplash,
kind of brutal. But also funny, because in German, you know, it's called Das Reich der Sieben Höfe, so you were going from Six of Crows to, you know...
To seven.
Seven, yeah.
It's like that one KBR where you just picked books that had numbers for me.
Yeah, it's true. That was really funny.
But yeah, that's the positive that I have.
I will also say, I think Sarah J. Maas has also always been very gracious to people who create fan content. Like, people who have made fan art and art inspired have had their work featured in, like,
yes.
the books and, like, special editions, or just their designs features. And there are authors who do not even think about doing this. So I think that's also, like, a big plus, where it's like, okay, yeah, that's a nice thing to see.
Though I think recently, I didn't go after that, actually. I just saw it and I was like, huh, interesting. And I think recently there was this thing where she was not going to extend, like, the licensing thing. Which meant that a lot of artists wouldn't be able to earn money anymore with, like, ACOTAR or, like, Maas content in general. And there was, like, it sparked a little discussion on the one hand, people were like, yay, now artists are finally going to create, like, stuff for smaller fandoms or original art. But on the other side, it was like, you still have to support and pay those artists, though, because otherwise they're just not gonna be able to sustain themselves, right? But I agree that not every artist, author is like, oh my god. Like, most of them are very positive and are like, oh my god, thank you for creating fan art, but not to the extent of what she did with the involvement. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's just another thing where I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. It also, I think, created one of the... Oh, that's a negative thing. Created one of the weirdest fandoms in the book spaces. If you look at just the average of people that you can find in that fandom, goes from very conservative, not older women, to like the queerest of little dudes, because they think they're gonna get into like a super diverse book series, because that's what like the output like,
fan art looks like, but
makes you think, not. Right? And that kind of clashes a lot. I just love spending time in comment sections on videos. It's just my favorite thing.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm not as much in the fandom, and especially since I am not on TikTok, I miss a lot of stuff that you inform me of. So that's always interesting to me.
I found out, and I'll never go there, right? But I found that the real shit happens on Twitter. And that it's like it's its own ecosystem, but with every single fandom. It's like people are like, if you don't want to go like live the drama, don't go to Twitter for any fandom interactions, because that's where the worst thing happens. But yeah, I think TikTok for Sarah J. Maas is that
fascinating. I also assume there must be crazy shit going on Facebook on account of the older demographic that's also into ACOTAR. So I don't know if there's like crazy horny posts, but made from like Gen Xers that I'm totally missing out on, which I think could be a fascinating, glimpse into the psyche of different people. But,
I am part of the Too Curious committee. You know that, but I think that is one of those instances where I hindsight is not the best thing. Actually, before going, I have to say no, we're not entering this. A lot of times I think I should not have read XYZ, but at this time I'm being smart about it. I'm not getting into that.
I wouldn't do it either, but I'm just thinking what could be out there.
At this time like you can't send me.
Yeah. I'm not sending you down there, don't worry.
Well, that on community, I just wanted to put it out there, because a lot of time the talk is about the book itself and the work and her as an author, but you gotta also consider the amount of movement she got out of this for the book community.
For sure.
So, that being said,
the positivity, the warm fuzzy feelings are going to a farm. They're unfortunately not here anymore. They're totally still alive though, don't worry. And we're getting you a new pet, and that has different opinions. They're a lot less fluffy and warm.
The warm fuzzy feeling looked into the mirror of I forgot what the name was, the Ouroboros, I don't know, and saw its emo version and was consumed by emo monster that is now prowling the streets of this podcast. I think I don't know how we want to start this. My biggest gripe, and I mean we've talked about this before so many times, but it's so much more obvious now that we've reread the series, and then I rewatched I updated the Silver Flames knowledge, and I just sat there, and having read Crescent City as well, right, all of this, the way that Feyre gets benched it's
crazy. Yeah, I have this as a point too.
Is my first point, and I looked because I was like, wait a second, there must be a system to this, because she's doing this far too many times, and she nearly, I feel like she nearly did this in Throne of Glass, but she loves Aelin too much. Aelin is like her like, so it doesn't really happen in Throne of Glass, but it happens in ACOTAR and it happens in Crescent City, where the main character gets. And then I looked up the dates at which the books were published, and I have to say she was a very busy bee, like a very busy bee. Throne of Glass came out in 2012, and then every single year she published at least one book. Queen of Shadows and A Court of Thorns of Roses came out in 15, and then Empire of Storms and Mist and Fury in 16, and Tower of Dawn and Wings and Ruin in 17. So she pumped these books out in like quick succession.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast you can get a book out if, you don't do any meaningful developmental editing on it. Yeah, it's crazy.
And then Earth and Blood 2020, and then Silver Flames 21. So there was, like a little portion of her, it was probably due to her writing Kingdom of Ash, if we're honest, which came out in 2018. But I feel like, she was writing the other books, she was trying to wrap up stories, and as an escape maybe, because she has said in interviews that she was like, oh, she always wanted to write this story, like the Persephone Hades story. She wrote it down, and then she was like, oh, I don't know where to go with this, and it just kind of fizzled out. And then at the same time, the little evil seed of Crescent City was planted in her head. And then she already jumped off before she even wrote Silver Flames, is my theory on this one.
I think, before I listened to the summaries for the other books, I had in my head the theory that, like, she was done with Feyre, kind of. Her story was over. She didn't really know what to do with her. So she was much more interested in exploring the Nesta-Cassian dynamic, and that's why Feyre got kind of benched. Mm-hmm. But now, on having reread ACOTAR and knowing about the other books, I will apologize for my misogynist tendency to blame women, but I think it's actually Rysand. I think... Actually, the reason Feyre got shoved to the side is because, unfortunately, Sarah J. Maas is much more interested in her Hades, in her Rysand, than in Feyre. You can already see the beginning parts of that in ACOTAR, where actually the real beef that powers the book is Rysand and Hybern. Feyre's just kind of there,
Rysand and the short king. The medium-height king.
Average height king, okay?
Favorite character from the whole book.
I will never forget. It's so good. It's my favorite bit about it.
Sorry, please continue. I didn't want to intervene.
But, we even start ACOTAR with his flashback to his torture, which... doesn't add anything to the story. Let's be very honest about this. We have his chapter in the end, but then much more clearly it gets in Frost and Start, not a lot happens, so it's just a Christmas episode.
Novella. It's cute.
But in Silver Flames, it becomes real obvious because there is, from a world building perspective, it is insane to be saying that Fae women who are pregnant cannot use their magic because that would hurt the baby. Even though the magic is like an intrinsic part of themselves. But it's just there so that Feyre, even at like 2 months pregnant, at which point women can just do everything they usually do, except, alcohol, drugs, smoking, which, bad for the baby. I mean, I guess if you want to abort, you can also do that. You're a free person.
Depends on the goal.
Yeah, really, though, physically, there are no restrictions.
Yeah.
But she gets benched anyway, like, immediately, and Rysand is the one who does stuff. And in Crescent City, when Bryce comes to Prythian, she also only interacts with Nesta and Rysand. Feyre is nowhere to be seen. She is off the stage indefinitely.
Yeah. She sees them once, I think, and it's super short. And that's why some people had like the theory of, Crescent City 3 was supposed to be a different book. Because it happens in Crescent City 2 at the end. When she gets found by Azrael. Azrael takes her to the house in the city. And then she's put in the room, and then Rhysand and Feyre come in. and Rhysand is like, gorilla, you know, and Feyre's like, no, stop, there's something about her. You know, so...
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, I forgot, because I think this does happen in Frost and Starlight. Feyre doesn't even get to be the one to visit Tamlin and see him at rock bottom and then experience, hey, maybe, you know, what I did was wrong, and maybe, you know, like, obviously he hurt me, but still, like, I don't want this for him. But instead it's Rhysand. Why isn't it Feyre who gets there and has, like, some sort of, you know, a little bit of a resolution with Tamlin, which I think she would deserve. But no, it's all Rhysand. It's all him. Feyre doesn't get to do stuff. So again, I'm sorry, Nesta. It is the guy. I'm learning, listening and learning. I will, from now on, only blame men for things. Don't worry.
Yeah, I really agree with what you say. It's all... I think it's essential and very important for the author to be also, like, low-key, high-key in love with their love interest. Because otherwise it's kind of difficult to write, like, a convincing romance. No, you gotta have that, you know, when you write and think about them. But a lot of times, like, yeah, when you say, especially in ACOTAR, Rhysand does the battling with the Highborn King. We only find out about the interaction because of the brain connection with Feyre. Rhysand has the almighty power to do anything.
Rhysand is Jesus. He dies for the world.
Yeah, in Silver Flames, we have this whole... I thought this was an ACOTAR. I forgot that this was in Silver Flames, actually. We have this whole setting him up as, like, King of Prythian kind of thing. Why are we? We have Feyre, who is a combination of all of the courts, right?
Right.
With her power.
It's
and, like,
so upsetting.
And actually, it should be about, if at all, making her the queen of the whole land. You know, maybe shake it up a little bit. But no, we're looking at Rhysand and we go, oh, maybe you should be King of Prythian. Hi, King. What are they fucking talking about?
The thing there is really that just... When we got into this, I wasn't aware of this. I was made aware through comments that apparently Sarah herself has stated that ACOTAR is feminist, explicitly so. Mm-hmm. And after reading the trilogy and knowing about the other books, it's just like, first off, no, it's not. And B, Sarah, I think you yourself are a bit of a misogynist, and I don't think you actually know what feminist theory contains. I don't think you are actually very aware of any of this, because the things you write speak of an utter unfamiliarity even with the basic tenets of the political goals of feminism itself. Which makes it concerning to call it that. It's like, no, I don't think that's correct. I think you're wrong about it.
First funny thing for me was finding out that you didn't know about this. I was like, what? No.
I wasn't following the market. I read ACOTAR because I was following Charlie Bowater for years and she did fan art, which I liked. Okay? I'm easy.
You're easily influenced. Yeah, so that was the first thing when you were like, oh my god, did you see that comment? I was like, what are you talking about?
Like, yes. Yeah, we've been no. And I was like, wait, what? No. Why would she say that? It's so obviously not feminist. What?
And a second thing, I totally agree with you with the, she doesn't even know, like, the basic principles, because it feels like, I feel like it's like a buzzword that gets thrown around, and as soon as you have a female main character, it's like, oh my god, this book is so feminist. It's like, no.
I think it's not just the book space or whatever, because if you've ever been, like, even a little bit interested in, like, politics and watched some politics related content, in the aftermath of, like, the 2010s, like, 15 onwards, I would say, it's kind of like feminism kind of won. People were like, oh, feminism is #good. They looked at it and were like, oh, that's the good thing.
Yeah.
So it became like a self-identifier. Oh, I'm a good person, so obviously I believe in feminist things. Mm-hmm. So even fundamentally conservative women claimed the label for themselves when all they were actually advocating for was I should be able to do the things I want, but I'm still anti-abortion. I still believe some women shouldn't vote. I still think, women of color are like beneath me, even if I don't say it in those words. I think, typically women's work is not worth the same. Like, they were still fundamentally very conservative, but they still associated themselves in their minds and publicly with the label of feminism, which has like diluted it so completely that in pop culture you can't even talk about it anymore, because most of these people are not even really aware of the political interests that feminism was founded to, help with. But it's more like, oh, feminism is when women do things, and the more woman the thing is, the more feminist.
Slay.
That's where we've gotten.
And I feel like it's even, a lot of people are like, oh, it's the same white woman feminism like Taylor Swift does. But I think it's even less, honestly.
I mean, funnily enough, wasn't there, an announcement that she's now engaged to a hyper-conservative guy who's friends with people in the administration?
Yeah, the NFL player. I was like, what do you mean Sarah J. Maas? I was like, oh no, you mean
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. So she's also
it's such a super weird area of like both of them being like, oh no, we're Democrats, endorsing the Democrats, blah blah, but the NFL is a place of such, at least from what like we can judge here in Germany from what we see in the news, is such a place of MAGA like breeding grounds, and like I mean, it's your job, right? You're playing football and you can't decide what your co-workers, vote for, whatever, but you can decide who you spend time with. Right? But coming back to Sarah J. Maas, I think it's even less.
Yeah, it's not even Taylor the girl boss feminism. Because Farrah gets relegated to being a housewife who raises kids. She's not even there anymore. She's just somewhere in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. Don't worry about it. She's making rice and a sandwich.
And she can't even do that right. She can't even.
Oh wait, no, she's not doing this because that is what they have their, servants for, who are explicitly not high fae and just kind of mixed race, and those I was about to say, you don't even have to see because they can just phase into the walls.
They're POC, dark-skinned, coded slave staff that totally gets a wage. Don't trust me.
Totally. Don't you know Raisin pays everyone such a good wage? Where's his money coming from? Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it, kitten. Don't worry about it.
It's from the spice trade that they have, even though nobody knows about Valaris. Don't forget that.
Because Valaris is such a spicy city.
They have like they have like a little fence of boats at the border, right? And when people leave Valaris, like in Men in Black, they get like zapped and their memory is gone. And like,
honestly, that's why Raisin never gets work done. He is there all the time and does like the mind blasting, and that's all he does all the time.
He has to land on every single boat and go boom. But the way that Farrah gets benched in the overall context of the whole, like all of the book series and the multiverse, but also in the same book, and also like, because logically, who's gonna be the next big thing in that universe? We still have Nesta, not anymore, because Nesta gave up like half of her powers, whatever.
Nesta gave up her powers in order to fundamentally change her body to bear children from this one specific guy.
And the way it was...
Hashtag feminism, by the way.
And the way it was said, it wasn't even like... I did this, oh my god, I did both of these things, was like, I did say Feyre, and then winky face to Cassian, and I changed something about myself to... That's not what I wanted to get on.
No, sorry.
Like, who... No, that's perfect. But it's like, who's gonna be the next person? Elaine, maybe, yeah, because we haven't, like, covered her, and there's stuff that might... I don't know, whatever she pulls out of her ass, okay? But the next most likely protagonist would be the son, would be Nyx, would be Minnie Rhysand, right? So, like, she even gets benched there. She doesn't birth a beautiful daughter, you know, but she can be like, I'm gonna be different than my mother. This whole, like, this is gonna be not, and watch her struggle there. No, she's gonna birth a Minnie Rhysand, and she's constantly gonna be like, look at his violet, blue, lilac, cerulean eyes. He's gonna...
Those orbs.
Like, his orbs! He looks just like his father, and he is just like his father, and like, damn, girl, stop.
Yeah, she's gonna have a moment where she's like, he's so strong and virile, and oh, impressive.
I'm so happy to see... She's gonna turn into a boy mom, you know? She's gonna be like, I'm already jealous of the female that will end up being his mate, and you just want to close the book and throw it out of the window, you know?
But the funniest part...
That's the potential future, right? Like, she gets benched and thrown out in her own series.
The funny part about it is especially that Nyx is a feminine name, and the goddess Nyx, like, of the night, the Greek goddess, is also a woman. So I'm just like, she's never gonna do it, because again, she's not even
trans rights,
a hashtag girl boss woman. I think she's kind of conservative, actually, from what she puts in her novel. And I think we should have a trans girl Nyx protagonist, but we will not get it, because Sarah J. Maas can't we all know what happened with Moore and ACOTAR. We cannot trust her with this.
Or the vague... I mean, it is canon, right? But the weird, vague lesbian relationship in Crescent City, where it's like, you know, Bryce is like on the... I feel like this is what straight people imagine it is like to have gay friends. To be like on the sidelines, be like, ooh, I hope they end up together. Oh my god, haha, look at my gay besties now being a couple. And then it never gets addressed again. They never get treated like an actual couple. Like, I forgot their names. The ballet dancer and the assassin, which in itself is already...
And the one who looks like Amren, yeah.
A much more interesting premise than whatever Bryce and Hunt had going on. But anyways, it's... After that, it's mostly like... Oh yeah, those two belong together, whatever, yeah, fine.
They're not even in the books much, right? I think they're a bit in the first book, but afterwards they don't even matter, because they're doing insane other shit. These books go so off the... We need our Baymax scenes, so we can spend time with these people. No, but legitimately, it is Farrah deserved so much better. Mm-hmm. And I liked her a lot because we've talked about it. She is kind of a jock who also likes painting, right? She goes into the forest. She likes fighting. She's terrible at social things. She doesn't really even like dresses, right? That's how she gets introduced. So I think it would have been great to have a protagonist like this, because obviously, like, kind of a Katniss-inspired character. And we don't get a lot of female protagonists like Katniss, like that, who are blunt and terrible with people, but still, you know, valued by their friends and family and whoever. Because again, a lot of writers are kind of very conservative, but, you know, I liked that about her. But I think by the end of ACOTAR, she's stripped of a lot of character in its totality. And in fairness, that's not a Farrah-specific problem. Most characters are barely characters the further we go into the series. Yeah. They are just kind of vehicles for plot points Sarah thought were cool or dramatic or need to happen somehow to make something else cool, dramatic, or sexy happen. So,
or all at the same time.
It's not just Farah, but it's more obvious when it's your protagonist and you have a first-person book where it's just like, oh, she's just... There's so much less to her, I feel like, later on.
When you said she's like a... I agree, first off. When you said she's like a jock who also likes to paint, I immediately was like, oh my god, Farah is like Finn Hudson from Glee. In the way that, you know, Finn also gets awkward, but he's kind of cute, and, you know, he... same person, honestly. But, what did I want to say? I had a thought, and then it ran away from me. Do I have it in my
Come
notes?
back.
Yeah. The thing where you were saying, it's like the characters go more and more away from like what. It's not that the character is allowed to change, right? But it should be an obvious change and not feel like the author is just letting go and letting the characters do whatever the fuck they want and just disappearing into the void. And what I felt retrospectively thinking about this was, as much as I joke and say, oh, the Maasiverse, you know, it's like the MCU, it feels like a similar, like the phenomenon happened where it's, in the beginning you have something solid and something good, and then you add onto it, and it stays good. It even gets better, and you're like, oh, this is really nice. This is really cool. People get excited. It gets popular. And then maybe you manage to have a couple of bangers, like Endgame, for example, right? But the rest of it goes very meh. And it mess off away. And the same thing happened with the ACOTAR books, where in the beginning you're like, oh, I think you have something solid. Then it got very popular. Then Sarah Maas most likely got the offer for less editing, right? And then it just meh for the rest. Even though it got more epic and more stuff got added onto it because you had even more ideas, and then we have the people with the bird people coming in, you know. But it's in the end it just dissolves into shallow soup, with characters that don't really.
No, absolutely.
They're not charismatic at all.
I also have a point about the SEU, the Sarah J. Maas Extended Universe.
The
Maasiverse, and my point was that it's not technically something that you can't do, but Sarah J. Maas does not possess the restraint and management skills to actually make it work. So instead of making it something more than the sum of its parts, it ends up making every part worse by trying to be part of this whole, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Right? The same way that ACOTAR suffers from having to have this 15,000 years ago, this happened, and then people left for Crescent City. This doesn't do anything for the plots that are happening in ACOTAR itself, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't improve the plot of Crescent City for Bryce to spend a few days over in Prithian and then go back.
In the fucking tunnel system. It's not even like she gets to explore the world.
That was extra funny.
She's just running around.
She just sees a few worms. Congrats,
with the Midgard
Bryce.
worms. Yeah.
Worm time.
With the worm from SpongeBob. Yeah. Texas bullworm.
Yeah.
It's just...
She is suffering so heavily from shiny ideas syndrome. I mean, we've already talked about it with the protagonists, but even with everything.
Everything, yeah.
It definitely got reined in by an editor or more feedback while she was writing Throne of Glass. Because even though that universe gets like a big explosion of, oh, there's more stuff in the third book, it still afterwards pretty much stays contained. We explore some of the stuff that gets introduced, but we don't keep introducing more random stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
in book 3, new POVs, we learn about the witches that exist. Oh, there's dragons now. Cool, whatever. But it doesn't continue on to, in book 4, even more POVs, even more new people, new magic. No, we get introduced to this and then we work through the implications of everything. And I mean, Tower of Dawn was then her like a big exploration into somewhere else. And but still, I feel like in Kingdom of Ash, things were still built obviously on the things that came before it, which made it feel like a much more satisfying ending than ACOTAR. I'm not gonna argue about the quality of the book. I don't remember much of it, and since we were both saying that Akimov is like the best one, right? And then when we read it, we're like, oh, it's bad. So I'm not gonna make any statements about the quality. But as a final book in a series, it functioned much better, and it was more conclusive, and it was also more girl boss than whatever Fair gets to do. Even though Aelin gets like a little sidelined by Irene, she's still obviously the main character. Yeah. And also, Throne of Glass doesn't suffer that much from it because it was never a first-person POV story. It always had multiple POVs. It always had multiple important characters, even though Aelin was obviously the protagonist. So it wasn't as apparent and not as annoying, because obviously, once you have worked through the backstory and all that of your protagonist, you'd love to explore the other people. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, we know about this guy. What about the 5 other guys? So there it's not as bad. But in a trilogy with a first-person protagonist and no real other POVs except the love interest, which, again, are useless and shouldn't be there because they add nothing, it's crazy to sideline your own protagonist like that. It's actually kind of incredible. Like, wow, Sarah, why would you do this?
Honestly, if it had just... If we weren't aware of Crescent City, I feel like, oh damn, that's unfortunate that this happened. But considering Crescent City and what happened with Bryce and Lydia, it's like, okay, I see a pattern here, Miss Maas. And I wonder whether what you said, that Throne of Glass, especially the end of it, was a bit more streamlined. I'm gonna have to say that during Kingdom of Ash, I was starting to like, okay, Miss Maas, we're starting the rambling. We're starting the books being too long for their own good. But
it absolutely is too long.
I was like, okay, how many books are in this series? I mean, 4, 6. It's like 8 books in a Throne of Glass series with the extras. So it's like, okay, you know what? Fine. You are allowed to overwrite your last book because it's...
Right, it's like you want to finish everything up. You want to actually close up all the threads you started, and she didn't go around spinning new threads that would only be concluded maybe in the future the same way in ACOTAR.
So it's like, you're allowed to do that, right. that it's so long, and I wonder whether the reason why why that is more concise, not concise is the wrong word, streamlined maybe, was because she was writing both of these series at the same time in her head as well. So she probably had to have some sort of system to structure. And I wonder whether the Throne of Glass timeline or storyline was just always more settled and more set, because she had been working on this for such a long time, right? Even before she published it to, what was it, Life Journal or something? That she was like, okay, I have this roadmap, I just need to follow it. Whereas with ACOTAR, I think it must have been a bit more loose in her head, so that in the end she was like, okay, now I've wrapped Kingdom of Ash up. All of the other ideas that didn't make it to the Throne of Glass roadmap now get to be thrown into the future project / ACOTAR roadmap. I wonder if that's the reason.
I think it's also just that at the time, she had editors who she actually had to listen to and who had some sort of influence over what things were included and what weren't. Which, I mean, you can see those books also getting longer and longer where you notice that, oh, the editors probably were doing less now, the more, self-sustaining her momentum was. But, at least I really think she needs somebody outside who looks at her work and goes, none of this is a bad idea, but you can't do all of it at once. So we need to keep some for a later project.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like Crescent City, with its modern setting, it feels like something Sarah maybe tried to do with Valaris, and an editor was like, okay, that's a little too much. You have to tone it down. Like, this can be kind of a more modern-ish city, but it feels weird to do it too much.
It feels very Zootopia, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like beforehand, for me, this was always like an urban myth where it's like, oh, editors, something that you can like accuse or use as like the scapegoat, where it's like, oh, these authors just didn't get edited as much anymore. But since I don't know which episode it is from Victoria Avert's podcast with I forgot his name, her author friend from School of Good and Evil, where she was like, oh yeah, I at some point I was offered to not be edited as much anymore because it sells anyways. Like getting that confirmation from an author, I'm like, oh no, this does actually happen. So yeah, it's not a little scapegoat excuse anymore. It's something that's genuinely being done in traditional big publishing houses to not give edits to authors anymore.
It's not even a new thing, because how authors can also get around that is just handing in their manuscript real late if they're already popular. This is also why the later Harry Potter books are so much longer and so convoluted, because they weren't edited much either anymore, because Joanne was handing in the manuscripts way too late and no big changes could be done anymore. It really is just like, if you see, but it is not unusual, especially for young adult stuff or stuff that starts as middle grade or young adult and then skews older the longer it goes, to become longer books over time, even if they're edited. But the explosion of pages sometimes, where you compare like the first book has like 300 pages and like the last book has like 1,000, you're like, okay, something happened. Yeah, because sometimes it's really just that. But yeah, the crazy part is also that even while authors do get editing, they are often not required to even change the thing an editor tells them. But I think just having another professional look at it and give you some input can help immensely. Because even if you don't like what they're suggesting, maybe you still are made aware of problems where you then go, oh yeah, I can improve this. Actually, I didn't think about this. I'm glad now I have, the time and, the knowledge to fix this. And that's why you need feedback that's not just from sycophants who tell you, oh no, it's great, everything's great. Like, that's not...
Like, not saying, like, you're not, or I assume you're not saying that she needs an editor that's, like, completely from a different field to be like, this sucks.
An editor should love the premise and the basics of your story. They should love your story and should want it to be the best it can be.
Make it better,
and that's the kind of help you want. You don't want somebody who doesn't like what you're doing, because then their opinion doesn't help either. Because if they're already then they just want it to be something entirely different, which is not what you want, right? It needs to be someone who has themselves skill and insight and knows how to communicate this and have the chance to communicate it. And if you don't get an editor, then obviously it turns into something like ACOTAR.
I feel like something that's missing is someone who keeps like keeps her accountable in terms of facts or things she sets straight. There's always this factor of, oh, you know, the real secrets are in the author's mind. You know, like look at J.R.R. Martin. You're like, oh, what is he cooking up in that head of his? But I'm pretty sure that this man also has a journal or something somewhere where he keeps track of everything, and he most likely will have a person or several people who also keep tab of that, so that you can set up secrets and plot twists and like big multiverse important, you know, pillars up to fact. And keep them like constant, without having to throw around the 50,000 years ago code word. so the reader's like, oh, okay, this is one of those facts, you know. So you don't need to be, still love her by the way, Emily's Theories on TikTok with a PhD in the Maasaverse, who remembers every single fucking fact, right? I feel that's also something that's lacking. Because it's not a plot twist, it's like world building, not plot holes, it's world building holes. It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Again, and that's also in combination with her shiny idea syndrome, where old stuff gets dropped because she has new, cooler ideas that she liked to work through. But then nothing actually gets really worked through.
Yeah.
Right? We introduce some stuff, but nothing is ever really explored to more than surface level. Mm-hmm. So it feels kind of bland. If you are emotionally invested, you can make up your own explanations and juicy background lore, but the things that are actually in the text are very little and not very compelling by themselves.
While I was studying the text, you were doing niche. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think one thing that kind of shocked me, honestly, because I was like, wow, my perception was so off, was that before we reread the books, I was always like, oh, she really goes off the rails in Crescent City. I remember ACOTAR being bad, but Crescent City is like, you know, where she lost the plot. No, ACOTAR is already where she's losing plots several times, with the erratic, what you just said, the erratic cutting every topic once or twice behavior. And I was like reading the last couple of pages in ACOTAR where we have these scenes where Feyre is like after the war in the tent, and then everybody just comes in, you know, like you're clicking through the last cutscenes of a video game, being like, when do I get to do my own stuff again? Not that I ever would do that, right? But I was sitting there like, oh my god, she's already doing it. She's already doing it like 4 years or something before Crescent City came out. It was never the case of, oh, something happened between ACOTAR and Crescent City. It was always there, and I seeing that now, I'm like, oh.
It's been there the entire goddamn time.
It's been there. I didn't see the forest because of the trees, you know?
It's really... I feel like even some of it already starts in Akamath, where you have like, oh, what if there's 8 human queens and they can winnow, and there's so much cool stuff, and nothing ever gets addressed. And also they're like evil, and on the bad guys side. Actually, on that topic, on the topic of the queens, the fact that the main villain of Silver Flames is that former human queen who mostly is big mad because she's ugly now is such a choice. It actually kind of makes me crazy. I cannot... I have such trouble believing that. That is so insane. What?
It's incredibly funny considering the journey that Nesta goes through in Silver Flames, you know, being eaten up by this conflict. And you're a little bit like, oh, Nesta has been feeling like this. Okay, well, I'm here for the ride. And then she goes through like the most deepest psychological shit ever. And on the other side, you have, what's her name? Brianka? I don't know.
I don't remember even.
This woman who's like the evil queen from Snow White is like, I'm not ugly. What?
The crazy part is just, first off, why are we dragging down this new book in the series with an antagonist from the end of the trilogy who really should not be relevant right now anymore? Mm-hmm. Is Nesta not allowed to have her own thing? But also, why is there this big conflict at all? I feel like it actually does a disservice to Nesta's journey to be like, oh yeah, there's totally like this world-ending threat that's also there. Where it's like, what for? It literally adds nothing. Who even cares?
If it had just been like Koshai, as like the villain, it would have made more sense. But because she's being manipulated by Koshai, like the queen thing, it doesn't really come across like that. It comes just across like too many little villains, and then you have the random. I forgot that you have the random villain and the mini villain in the prison who gives Nesta the "you could be my sexy queen, baby girl" visions when she tries to take the harp, right? It's why are they here? Why does she get and why does she get sexualized every single fucking corner she walks around? When that is not even her trauma to begin with, or the thing she's trying to work through. I don't feel like Nesta ever had a problem with her sexuality. It's more about the trust giving to a person than the actual sex aspect of it, but yeah.
The crazy part is that the way it's set up, it does feel like Sarah's like, oh no, I'm done with Fair, but look, Nesta's just like Fair, just better. Look how much cooler she is. And then out of nowhere, like, oh, totally, when Farrah left, Nesta was sexually assaulted when she broke up with that guy. Does this ever come up? Does she have any hang-ups around sex? Because, no, it's just there for reasons. And look, Nesta has become a super powerful death goddess who's so cool that everyone is in awe of her. And look, she's so good at dancing that everyone wants to marry her now. And it just feels like, look, here is the specialist girl alive. You're asking about Farrah, the protagonist of the previous, but don't worry, she doesn't matter. She's pregnant, so she's off the table. Oh, Farrah. Oh,
actually, she's gonna die on that table.
Yeah, that's true. She's gonna die under the table somewhere in the shame corner. Don't worry about it. But Farrah prevented a, war between Fae and humans breaking out again. Well, Nesta's preventing the end of the world with an antagonist no one has ever directly interacted with, who also should, if at all, be the antagonist in a short story or novella about Vasa and Jurian and Lucian. Mm-hmm. Because Vasa's the one who has a direct connection to this guy.
Right.
Why are we doing this? Why is he relevant at all? If Nesta was facing any threat, it should be in Prithian, the only country we're ever in. What are we doing?
It's truly, I don't have any words. I actually have a lot of words. I just don't know how to voice them.
I also have a lot of words because on the topic of that queen being, mad that Nesta and her hot sisters ruined her hotness, she's also one in a long line of evil women who are still subservient to a more powerful, eviler guy. #feminism.
Yeah.
We don't even get female villains who are just by themselves. They're all always working for a different guy.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, Amarantha, in theory, was under the King of Hybern. but I felt like she was doing her own thing. She still was a sexy girl boss, but
she was, but then also the King of Hybern is like, oh, why do you think I let her go there and do all those things? Because they served my agenda. And, you know, the
average height agenda.
His real beef with Prithian is that all the men there are taller than him.
It's still funny that it was, like, mentioned that he was average height. Because it's like, oh, what does it even mean in the context where every single man we meet is, like, tall and muscular? So, obviously, average height.
The funny part there is, I remember when we talked about it, but then you brought up, and the descriptor being, and muscled like a young man, and we also lost it over that, because what does that even mean?
You know, it's like, yeah, like, prove that she has never, Sarah J. Maas on this, not Pharaoh or anyone, and that she has never lusted after a 50-year-old, like, actor, like, what do you mean?
Maybe Sarah's a cougar.
New controversy unlocked. Forget all the racist shit she does and all the like politically atrocious stuff she spews.
Let's pull out the age gap discourse.
Well, you know, this is gonna happen with the Feyre boy mom content anyways. But yeah, it's just like, it's horrible. And I wonder how, honestly, how people cannot, like, this has taught me that rereading sometimes is more than just enjoying a series or a book again. Because usually when I reread a book, I'm like, hell yeah! You know, I'm enjoying myself, I'm just having fun. But this time it was actually educational in the sense that I was like, oh my god, this kind of did change the way I'm thinking about it, because it was so much worse than I initially thought. Yeah. But it also makes you wonder what other people see in this character, being Feyre, and how people who do like the books perceive this change. Because we see it as a character losing their own voice and character, like personality-wise, right? And I remember when Silver Flames came out, there was a huge discourse on how the perspective shift changes our view on Rhysand and changes our view on Feyre. But a lot of people like blamed it on, oh, you know, it's from Nesta's POV. It's the other way around. But it's actually not. As you said, we can already see her losing agency and her losing the badassness in the ACOTAR books. So I wonder, I don't know, somebody's who is listening actually liked her to the end, even after all we know. I'd be interested to hear the opinion, actually.
I will say, after Silver Flames came out, and still today, a lot of people interact with it in a way where they go, oh, look, it turns out Rhysand has always been a bad guy. Look at how he treats Feyre, and look at how, you know, he interacts with the inner circle. And there I'm just left being like, he's not real. He's not a guy. He doesn't make decisions, and he is kind of, getting character assassinated just to provide the plot point of, ooh, spooky pregnancy that might kill Feyre, and, he has to play the role he plays so that Nesta can then save Feyre at the last moment. It still is crazy to me. Again, this is the part where I'm like, I don't think Sarah even has interacted with feminist theory on any level, because abortion isn't even floated as an idea. No one even goes, hey, I know it would be hard because obviously, you know, you wanted this baby, and it's hard for Faye to get babies, but it will kill you. So wouldn't it be better to live and to know this for the next pregnancy? And, you know, sometimes abortions are necessary or even good, right? This isn't, no one even brings this up, and they're like, I know you don't want to hear this, but it's an option. No one even considers it.
Yeah.
Which is really, even our beloved, even Mormon author Stephanie Meyer had a number of her vampires go, hey, we should abort that thing, because it's killing you.
Yeah.
It is incredible that even she managed to even bring it up at least. Even if, you know, it is kind of a bit pro-life, even though really Bella's personal choice over whether to keep a baby or not is like...
I was about to say, yeah.
Pro-choice means that women are also allowed to make the wrong choice in, you know, quotations.
Quote, yeah.
Right. So... the fact that it doesn't get floated at all is insane to me. But really, I feel like every character who knows about the pregnancy and, like, that it's going to be deadly, but isn't talking to Farrah about it, is getting character assassinated. Again, I feel like every character is really just a tool to make the plot go, and Sarah really, for some reason, wanted the deadly pregnancy. So everything had to shuffle around to accommodate it. And I don't think it makes sense to see any of the characters, even Rysand, as a continuous person with opinions in this sense, because I don't think that's a useful way of analyzing it. Because, again, so many people were, after Silver Flames came out, are like, wow, look, he's actually way more abusive than Tamlin. Oh, look, maybe he's not the feminist he's supposed to be. And, like, yeah, obviously, he's not a real guy. He's not a guy with opinions. He's a construct.
Yeah,
he could change fundamentally between books just because Sarah now wants to write a different kind of story and changed her mind. This is not a useful way to look at it.
And it's especially frustrating because... concerning the bringing up a possible abortion point is it would actually make the story more tragic to bring it up, because to be like, for Nesta, for example, who's like, okay, everybody's kind of crazy and doesn't want to talk to my sister about it, so for Nesta, for example, to walk up to Farrah and be like, hey, this is, you know, have you ever considered this option? And for Farrah then to go, no, that's not an option, not at all, I really want this child no matter what, that would make it more tragic overall, because now it's not just, oh no, we gotta save Farrah and the baby. Now we have the confirmation that whatever it takes, Farrah wants to get that child. It would make it actually more powerful and more dramatic and more sad, right? Why do we not have this in there?
I mean, the thing is, right, that I think Sarah J. Maas didn't really think about it while writing, and I mean, every reader also already knows that, is that Farrah isn't gonna die. Obviously, the pregnancy is not gonna actually kill her, right? Like, we all know this already, but the story needs you to pretend to at least believe that it could be a risk factor, but it's also not written that way. Because I think if Sarah J. Maas, even for 1 minute, considered how it would look if actually her death was a possibility, then it's actually insane not to abort the baby, because she and Rysand have, like, this... They made another, you know,
one of
bargain
their thousands of pacts that they have.
If one of them dies, the other dies too, in which case your baby is left without both parents, possibly also dies in birth. What the fuck are you doing? You're the rulers of a whole area? You can't do this. Like, just frankly, you cannot do this. Even if you want a kid, you cannot be doing this. That's insane behavior.
It makes... I totally agree. And it also makes the whole... what do we call it? Makes... this is Nesta's book, right? But you cannot introduce a plot point that tells us, oh yeah, you know, by the way, this character is gonna die, and then this other character is also gonna die, and then send our main character off to fight the villain from Snow White. Right? Nesta's first priority at that point, from what we have been introduced, like from what we know from Nesta, should be like the personal healing journey and trying to make amends with her youngest sister, whom she treated horribly, by trying to save her life. Don't have Rhysand run around and talk to the bird people on the other continent. I'm calling them bird people. The people who also had wings.
Discount angels. Angels from Wish.
Yes. Do it yourself, right? Show up to repent for that kind of shit you pulled in the previous in the previous books. Don't play like a cozy game simulator in the library talking to your favorite new ginger friend. It's such a total disconnect
of the narrative. Yeah. I also think, I mean, I was never gonna read it anyway, because A, I don't like sequels, and B, ACOTAR was so bad I wasn't gonna touch another Sarah J. Maas book unless people who were kind of critical gave it like glowing reviews and she got better, which she never will the way it's looking. But the fact that a lot of the book is really centered around Nesta feeling bad because she has been a piece of shit and so everyone dislikes her is like kind of off-putting to me. Like, yes, it is understandable, especially like if you're traumatized that, you know, you lash out and then people also treat you. But the book treats it as if it is somehow other people's fault for not being therapists and dealing with Nesta in a way that is more appropriate for someone traumatized, where it's like, okay, but like that's not their job. And if you're being right in a perfect world, everyone would have access to therapy or a therapist or help with these kinds of issues, but you are not entitled to make your family or friends carry this kind of burden. You are not entitled to friends while you're being an absolute piece of shit to them. And yes, it feels bad. Obviously it does. But still, like, it feels like she doesn't actually make a lot of amends with the people she has hurt emotionally, but just kind of feels bad about it and then learns that she shouldn't feel so bad about it because she can change for the better. But the amends aren't actually happening. It's like the whole, like, oh, she saves Feyre's life. That's, of course that's good. But still, the way the narrative interacts with it, it feels a lot... It's bad in the same way it's bad when you have an abusive boyfriend or whatever who then does one big act of heroism and that is supposed to redeem him as, like, someone to have a relationship with. That's not really... That's not... I don't find this compelling writing. I find it kind of off-putting. And I think the real problem is that it is totally fine to write a story where you're like, hey, actually, like, these sisters kind of have a very unhealthy relationship with each other. Like, they don't really get along because of all the baggage from their past, and they fight basically all the time because they just don't gel. But a better writer would look at this and go, actually, you know what? In this case, it's actually better if they're not together all the time. What if they just live far apart, have their own friend circles, and, you know, are allowed to heal by themselves before they, you know, sometimes meet up? But no, if somebody is family in the Massiverse, you have to care about them. Even if they're abusive, even if they've been terrible, you have to care, and you are not allowed to get out of this. Which also, I feel like, is Nesta has done so dirty in Silver Flames with her having to feel this overwhelming guilt over the death of her father, who she rightfully hated. Because, frankly, if I am a young teenager and my father loses all our money and then he neglects me and my sisters into our adulthood, you are allowed to, like, that's abuse. And neglect is also abuse. She is perfectly in the right to hate this guy and never want to spend time with this guy, and for his death to just be kind of like, well, he wasn't really present in my life anyway. Obviously, it's terrible that he died, but I don't understand why this would be such a load-bearing aspect. I would rather she be traumatized by her sexual assault, her being turned into a fae, her almost seeing her sisters die. Something that feels more appropriate than this weird, oh, he's your dad, so you have to care. Especially because Farah, who didn't even, like, Farah's not that Farah's not broken up about that, even though she also witnessed this through the cauldron, and she was the one who was close with their dad. So,
yeah.
What gives Sarah, it's so...
It's just, yeah. It's especially crazy since the things that have been built up a little bit more over the whole series, like also Nesta's and Elaine's relationship, for example.
Right.
They get, it's like, it's like you think, oh, there's an idea, but then it doesn't really go anywhere. There's one scene, I thought Elaine was growing a spine in Silver Flames when I read it, but then I was like, oh no, she just appears a couple of times. When she's like, oh, well, but Feyre saved me, not you. I feel like that, considering everything we've seen in the series with Nesta and Elaine, should have been much more of a slap in the face and like a wake-up call, an emotional wake-up call that could like trigger like a key trauma moment. Then remembering the sound of the neck breaking from their dad, to have her sister, whom she loves so much more than Feyre, you know, be like, yeah, but you weren't there for me either. Even though for a long time that was Nesta's only character defining thing, where she was like, I'm gonna, you know.
I also feel like Sarah J. Maas doesn't seem to be able to write siblings who are close and have been close their entire life.
Is the moment Nesta child
becomes the moment Nesta becomes the protagonist, it is now Elaine and Feyre who talk much more with each other than with her, and she's the one left out, as if she cannot comprehend writing a character who actually has this deep relationship with someone else. Right? Because even her other protagonists, like Bryce has a half-brother, but they're, especially at the beginning, I think, not really close. And Aelin has Edion, but Edion also only appears after the third book, and, like, they're also not that... They're not on screen a lot together, because they keep doing different things with different people.
So Sarah J. Maas was adopted. So, it doesn't say whether she was adopted into a family with siblings, though.
The more you know, I suppose.
The more you know. Still can't write sibling relationships. But to be fair, people with siblings also don't know how to write sibling relationships.
No, for sure, but it was very jarring to hear the summary and be like, wait, Elaine and Nesta aren't tight? But it's not even treated as like, oh, they used to be, but after their traumas, they both react in such
different ways
that they can't anymore. No, it's just like, they're just not close, and that's not like really meaningful loss on Nesta's part, where she's like, oh, I always had Elaine to kind of soften my anger, or like someone to talk to, somebody who I could always rely on to be there. And now I'm all alone. No.
Someone she could always take care of, so she didn't have to think of taking care of herself, right? She was like, oh, I mean, she could have, taken care of the rest of the family as well. But in her context, throughout the whole series, her driving life energy is to take care of Elaine. I
also, she's getting that backstory of her mother and her grandmother having been vastly abusive to her and whatever, where I would understand if both her and Elaine had been in this position, and that's why neither of them can really empathize with Farah that much, because they feel like she had the better childhood anyway, because she could hang out with their dad and wasn't forced to do all this stuff. Because again, it was described that their mother was concerned with both of them and just not with Farah. So that would make sense, and it also would make sense to carry a strong resentment of your dad if he was never present in your life and just let your mother and grandmother abuse you as they saw fit. That would make sense, and that would carry over into his further neglect after all the money is gone. But no, that's just also there for flavor. It doesn't even inform that much, I feel like, of Nesta's character either. It's just kind of thrown in there. I don't understand. Elaine just never gets anything. She's just so bland. It's crazy. Why is she there, man? Why is she there?
It certainly worries me in regards to the next installments of the series, because it's not like there's a lack of skill. There's a lack of care to develop or keep up with the skill on Sarah J. Maas's part. And that is detrimental if you already have a base that's not adequate. And if you have like so many loose ends. Little sidetrack. I recently saw a video of a person explaining on how to perfectly untangle a skein of yarn, right? By counting the connections between the two or even multiple yarns, and being like, if it's an odd number, then the yarns are in two different skeins, and if it's an even number, then both ends need to be like on one skein. That's how you can get through it. And one person in the comments was like, that is assuming that you don't have small children or animals who chew through your yarn, making it more than two ends that you can have. And I feel like some animal or small child went over Sarah J. Maas's plot story point roadmap yarn skein, and this woman now is not able to use this graph theory method of of untangling her yarn. And she doesn't even care. She looks at that bulk of yarn and she just buys new one. She buys new yarn that's off color, doesn't match, has different thicknesses, and she just continues to knit whatever weird quilt she's working on. It makes me scared.
No. I think it really is just, if there is gonna be an Elaine book, what would it even be about? Because frankly, even though at first he was, I feel like, fairly sufficiently strongly characterized, Lucian also has become kind of a non-entity. So I'm just thinking, what is gonna happen? I can't predict either of them, because I don't think either of them have strong enough character traits that I could even predict what either of them could be involved in for a plot.
Yeah. Just for information, there definitely is going to be an ACOTAR 6. I remember this. On the 12th of July, she posted on Instagram like a little video where she's like, first drafts done, and the documents say ACOTAR 6. So even if it's like not an Elaine-centric book, we are going to get more Elaine, most likely, because
it's incredible. It also reminds me of how in Silver Flames, apparently, or even in Frost and Starlight, Azriel has a soft spot for Elaine because she reminds him of his mom, which, okay. Great start to any relationship. Because I feel like Sarah couldn't decide yet if she wants to give all the sisters an Illyrian and what she wants. But also, I feel like she does not have the self-control not to just fall back on the mating bond. Because the way romance typically treats soulmates is just like, yeah, of course, maybe it at first looks like they're not gonna get together, but they're definitely gonna get together. I don't think I've ever encountered anything that's even mainstream adjacent that goes, no, actually, fuck fate. I'm going to choose who I want, and I'm not gonna be with my soulmate.
Ding, ding, ding. That's actually what they do in Crescent City. It's one of the things I liked about Bryce and Hunt's relationship, where Bryce is like, I don't even know if it's possible for us to be mates since he's not Fae.
Yeah,
right?
but
because he's from like the...
I mean, but also he was literally made to charge her up, so I feel
he's even though he's made from the triplet Devil Prince lab tube, right?
Devil orgy, yeah.
They all spit into the tube, and then they were like, we're never gonna do a daddy test, we're just always gonna
pay. But I don't think that's what I mean, because it's not like she has a soulmate out there. It's not like a character has been introduced who they know is her soulmate, and then she chooses somebody else.
Yeah.
Because she wants to. Because again, it's like, oh, they might not literally be mates, but again, it's like, oh, he was made to charge up like the star-born Fae with their star powers, and that's what he's for.
Yeah.
So
which is honestly crazy, because it gets mentioned in ACOMAF, I think, that not all soulmate bonds are either romantic or a positive bond. And it just never gets mentioned again.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a drive-by shooting. It's like, oh, they can be bad, but don't worry about it, kitten. We'll just never bring that up again. It's... But really, I cannot imagine her going against the grain and being like, oh, Elena's not gonna get with her established soulmate. I would even be impressed if she somehow managed not to have Elaine's recovery be related to becoming a physically strong fighter, because so far, literally every traumatized woman has had that as their trauma escape arc. The only thing you need is physical training and a hot guy to teach you how to fight better. That's all that matters.
And the thing is, Elaine has been like the spokesperson that people use for soft-spoken, gentle, words are weapons too, even though she doesn't say much, kind of character, where people are like, no, she's soft and sweet and blah blah. And I bet your ass, if she does go with the, we gotta get you physically strong so you can feel mentally strong thing, then they're gonna spin it in the, oh, you can be strong and be soft and sweet. And it's like, fucking decide, man, because Feyre is also physically strong and sweet. She's a cute little painter girl, right?
She's so nice. She forgives everyone for everything, even if they don't really apologize. She's just... Yeah. The funniest bit will always be that was it in ACOMAF? I think, or in Aqua, I don't remember. But Nesta explicitly says to Feyre, there are different types of strength, right? Cue Nesta's own book. No, there aren't. There's just the one. And I also think, stupid. Again, this is a part where I'm like, I think Sarah J. Maas might herself carry some misogyny that's probably not examined, because no character who's on the good side and is in any way characterized as competent or useful is also a physically strong fighter. No one there is not a fighter, is not a trained warrior. Even more is. No one. Other skills don't matter as much as being able to kill people physically with your own hands.
Still, I think I've mentioned this in the ACOTAR video, where it's like, if you're 100 years old, at some point you're gonna get bored and might do a couple push-ups and then turn out to be like a physically strong person as well, right? But I agree with it's just, a lot of... Sometimes I wonder whether the... Not necessarily lack of editing or anything, but if ACOTAR hadn't been as popular, right? And thus the quality of each book had to be better in order to bring in money for Sarah J. Maas. If the series would have been tighter and in the end of higher quality.
It's possible.
I don't know. I wonder. So,
but I feel like maybe it would have been a Throne of Glass in that it was meant to be a trilogy, and then she was like, oh, actually, if I'm gonna have to write a tight story, I might make it longer. And the publisher was like, well, it sells well enough to do more books than just 3. Right? So I feel like it could have also done that instead. In which case, I think it might have profited from being like 4 or 5 books instead, so that every book we go to like 2 new courts, and that in the final book we bring all the courts together and maybe even...
High Queen! Honestly.
Abolish the fucking monarchy?
No, because, High Queen, no!
Right, because there's this crazy part where the book kind of keeps going past but never quite addressing how, like, most High Lords are shit. Most of the people suffer under their High Lord, under their ruler. We know Hybern's terrible, Amarantha was terrible. And it never really arrives at the point that, hey, maybe it's bad if your ruler is chosen by magic and everyone is just left at their whims. Maybe that's a bad system. Maybe having just to rely on hoping that he's not the worst guy alive is bad. Maybe we should change that. Maybe there should be some mechanisms to keep these people under control. Maybe, even if we're not abolishing that, because, I don't know, like, having High Lords is connected to the land or whatever, at least to make them swear on the cauldron or whatever that they will be good rulers. Institute something, right? Make sure
I solemnly swear.
I solemnly swear.
Yeah, but I agree. Right?
Yeah. Ensure that people are because Farah comes away from the swing court being like, Tamlin's not ideal, and then she sees how well Velaris is thriving and how happy people could be, and then we just never come back to that. We never consider that maybe power is dangerous, right? We don't even have Farah reckon with the fact that now she is in this kind of position. She used to be poor. She used to be at the mercy of people with money and power. How could she come into so much power and money and then not still, because we also know she still sees herself in the like poor and downtrodden, right? How could this not be more meaningful, that she looks at them and goes, oh, this isn't just the spring court with the tithes. This is all of the courts. No one is speaking for these poor and downtrodden people. These people need a protector, need someone to help them.
Yeah.
Even if we're doing the kind of like, they need someone to protect them, not that they need to be empowered themselves. But then still, Farah could be like, I want to help everyone across all the courts because I'm part of all the courts. But no, she's just locked in a bedroom in the night court because,
The fact that that's not I totally agree. The fact that that's not the automatic, like, logical consequence to her being... Honestly, I know we're talking a lot about Silver Flames in this video, but it's sort of the
we haven't talked about it before.
It's sort of the nuke that gets thrown at the legacy of ACOTAR. And if you now look at it from a bigger picture, you can't avoid it, right? But going out of ACOWAR with this sense of adventure and, for Farah, you're kind of excited. You're like, oh my god, what is she gonna experience next? She wants to find Bryaxis, the monster from the library.
Yeah.
She's like, she's going there. She's doing that. She's a working girl, and knowing again what you said, that she has this urge to do good, and we witness that multiple times throughout the story, that as much as she would like to just leave or just, not help, she can't help herself to still do it. She still has to go and get herself into the most stupid of situations because she has a good heart and because she wants to help and be there. And to make the jump from that to Silver Flames, and the jump not being Feyre realizing my work isn't done. While searching for Baraxis, I'm seeing that it's shit everywhere and that all of these people are fucking dumb. My husband is fucking dumb. He doesn't realize any of this. Something needs to change. But instead she goes to, ooh, hardwood floors. Did she get a lobotomy between... Is the dick that good? You know,
I was about to say that dick gives you brain damage.
It's like it's crazy to think about if you truly look at it and go, huh, that's so weird. Because it's, yeah. And it's not like Nesta takes over that role. It's not like Nesta looks at the system and goes, you fucking dickheads. Sorry for the swearing. You fucking dickheads. You're doing everything wrong. You're like pretending to do all of this because you care about me. But you don't care like about the whole situation. This slum, I'm a slum in Velaris. You're not thinking, you're not respecting any of this. So I'm gonna fucking, change something here. That Nesta doesn't do that either, which would have been a far more entertaining story. I think it also ties in again with Sarah J. Maas being absolutely uneducated about the actual political consequences and systems, but
absolutely. I think there's just no reflection on the topics of power and abuse really at all, which is crazy because abuse is one of the main themes in the books, right? Yeah, it's so present everywhere, but it is discussed and treated so badly. So badly. Obviously, we have this huge discrepancy just at first glance where it's because our protagonists so far only have been women, but generally, women's trauma, especially trauma related to sex and violence, is taken seriously in a way from the narrative. Farrah's trauma is taken seriously. Why she suffers, that this needs help, that she needs support, that Nesta suffers, that she needs support, that but men's trauma isn't at all. It's treated as if, oh no, men are just strong, they just don't suffer from this, right? Yeah. Tamlin is vilified for the way that he can't deal well with his trauma. Again, in Akamath, we have a moment where Farrah is I can't even really blame him because we were both broken by what happened to us. So he hurt me and I couldn't, change anything about it, and we're not good for each other. Yeah. But then at the very end, it does just because what he's done has threatened her new family, she loses all empathy and all understanding for his situation. It's never really explored that he has suffered and he ended up behaving terribly, but it's not treated as oh, he needs help. He needs understanding and healing in order to become better. He's suffering as a result of very heavy abuse, even if his abuse wasn't physical, it was just psychological. But if you see someone torture the person you love in front of you, and it's done on purpose to hurt you, and then that person even dies for a bit, don't worry, she got better, but still, of course he'd be fucked up over that. But the narrative doesn't treat this as equally deserving of compassion. And then we have Rysand, with his boatloads of trauma, who are just treated as oh, he got over it. Sometimes he has nightmares or whatever, but he doesn't have maladaptive behaviors that need to be changed. He doesn't require therapy. He's there to help Farrah through her stuff, but he doesn't need that. He just needs the loving touch of a woman or whatever.
Some tender loving care, yeah.
Right. It doesn't get taken seriously at all. He doesn't have hang-ups around sex or violence. He doesn't even suffer from the kind of guilt a lot of people who have perpetrated violence and torture suffer from. Right? Obviously, it's worse for the people who experience it. Like, I'm not gonna, jump on the barricades and be like, these are the first people who meet up. But it is genuinely traumatic for humans to inflict this kind of violence on others.
Yeah.
And the fact that he also doesn't wrestle with, oh yeah, because I thought my life was basically over, I just resigned myself to being the worst person ever, because at least then, a part of me was safe. He never really reckons with, oh, but am I like this? It's just like, no, he... nothing. And Lucian also doesn't really get treated like an abuse victim who requires understanding and help for what he went through. Like, the men just don't get addressed at all, out of the thought that, they don't even need it. It's like
It's a bit offhand whenever it gets mentioned, but it doesn't go anywhere.
It feels like for them it's just kind of like backstory flavor, but it's not the thing that's being worked through. Which is weird, because I feel like if you have a romance that has a big aspect of, working through trauma, isn't it more appealing if both people help each other and not just one therapizes the other one?
Yeah.
Kind of, like...
I did write down, it doesn't, like, it's not necessarily the same line, but it adds to the same argument where I remembered, or when I, like, that the relationship between Feyre and Rhysand was quite balanced. That's how I remembered the books. Also in terms of, like, emotional support. But rereading them, it becomes... It's very unbalanced, both in power and in emotional, like, labor, in that sense that, Feyre, like, Rhysand, like, lays down ballads on how great and amazing and beautiful and nice and loving Feyre is, which I'm not saying he shouldn't. He should, absolutely.
Yeah. He should rizz up that 20-year-old. He's old enough.
He should go all in. But on the other hand, Feyre, whenever Feyre's always like, oh, I just can't imagine all the horrors that Rhysand lived through, and under the mountain in those 50 years, and then maybe when he has a nightmare, I'm holding him, I'm petting his head, and it's like, that's all? What? It's not how I remembered the story.
It feels so uneven, and I can't believe that when for Feyre, I feel like this is so obvious, like for a writer, just to, like, Feyre has the thing with the painting where she's like, oh, I'm healing, so now I can, like, paint again. That she never is like, hey, Rhysand, paint with me. I'm gonna share this with you. You can work through your feelings with that. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be beautiful.
They do paint once.
But it's all horny. I want him to be sad and traumatized while painting. That's what I want. He needs to be crying in front of the canvas. That's how you know it's working.
There needs to be a Dean Winchester-style tear running down his cheek while he puts down his first stroke of color.
No, but really, how is that never there? He shares so much of himself and his life with her, and she never really does. It is just so crazy unbalanced, and because he has to be the rock she's holding onto so she doesn't kill herself, he doesn't get to be explored as a character who also requires help.
Yeah.
Right? It's just... I also... The way whatever secret thing happened to Morrigan is treated is so off-putting. Again, it's like, listen, it's not that I expect Sarah to be like, oh, she lied about being, attacked or whatever, right? But I still feel like this, emotionally, this veers so close to, oh, so many of these Me Too accusations are false, that it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The flavor's bad.
When, again, getting back to the topic of retrospective, going into the reread, I was the most, like, apprehensive about Amren, because I remember not liking her much in the first read-through. I was like, yeah, she was fine, but I didn't like the over exaggerated, haha, I'm just a dragon collecting shiny stuff kind of thing. Because I remember it being a little bit obnoxious at times. During the reread, a character who I could connect to even less was Moore, because she's, I think, the least consistent of all of the Inner Circle characters. Not even in regards to what her actual power is and stuff, and like truth, you know. But having a character that is based on this the one fucking thing we know about her being the power of truth, right? And then you don't even insinuate, you lay down the facts, that there is a high potential that this person did lie, right? And then you're gonna play off the character development aspect as, oh, they lied about to themselves, to their own sexuality. But at the same time not addressing the elephant in the room of, oh yeah, she might have also lied about her sexual assault. It's so bonkers to me. I don't even, if you write this down in, I just wrote down more as a comment, more question mark. But like, how you can write that, read that, and think, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. I also... What? I hadn't clocked it as much in the first read, but on the reread, it was so much worse. How people act about the fact that Azriel is in love with Moore, but she doesn't address it. Someone doesn't owe their friend an active being turned down just because that friend is in love with them. Like, sorry, but if you are close friends anyway, but someone is clearly mooning over you, but you sleep with other people, you never, go, oh, we could have something maybe. You don't lead them on. You just happen to be there and you happen to be friends and he's in love with you, but he also never says it. Why is it on her to turn him down? Why is everyone like, hey, Moore, you should let him know? And she clearly is. If she hasn't done anything when he's so obvious, she's obviously turning him down.
I feel
what do you want from her?
What you said with, oh, it's her quote-unquote responsibility to make it clear. If you're friends for that long and the person mooning over you has not committed to being like, actually walking forward or stepping forward and saying, I'm interested in you, I personally would be like, well, if they haven't done this in the past 300 years, I don't want to assume anything. Maybe they're not interested in me.
Maybe
right?
he's just codependent. Maybe he's just protective like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't, like, it's not on her to go up to Azriel and be like, hey, if you happen to be in love with me, I am not interested in men. That's not on her, because it doesn't matter. She could be into men, but if he never says anything, and she doesn't even have the chance to turn him down, it's not her job to go out of her way to tell him, hey, actually, I'm not available to you. That's insane. That's so...
Yeah.
And the narrative is like, oh yeah, it's totally on her. And it's like, no, it's not. It is absolutely not.
It's like that's the least... Feyre is constantly portrayed, I feel like, at least in the fandom, and that's the supposed vibe she supposed to have of this girl's girl vibe, right? She could, and I don't think she is, first off, and second off, one of the perfect examples is Moore, because Feyre is not being a girl's girl or a good friend or whatever when she does talk to Moore about this. She's like, you're being such a bitch, Moore. You're not being nice to poor little Azriel, while she doesn't even have all the facts or even half the facts concerning the situation. It's so weird. It's fucking weird. It's just
it's just
it's
so
whole
weird. And I don't even like Moore because I don't feel like I know what kind of character she's supposed to be, but she has enough scenes that I find annoying that I can't really like her either. Like at the High Lords meeting, where she and Vivienne are acting like 13-year-olds who haven't seen each other in a few weeks. And, we're just girls. We're squeeing. We're hugging. We're giggling.
We're sticking our tongues out. That scene left me damaged.
Just girls.
Yeah, because in Akamav, it feels like there's a certain direction they try to go with more in terms of this first female genuine friend that Feyre gets the pleasure of being around and gets to experience the epic highs and lows of female friendships, right? With also the sort of like responsibilities you suddenly have once you have a friend, right? That Feyre needs to learn, because so far she never had that kind of friendship going on. But then in ACOTAR, it just gets completely chucked out of the window, and then in Silver Flames, more is being sidelined because Sarah J. Maas just probably didn't know what to do with her. So she was like, Moore is away on spy business.
I feel like there's another one of those like flags where I'm like, Sarah, your misogyny is hanging out, where Moore immediately, like even in the third book, I think already, gets like so weird to Nesta just because Cassian is interested in Nesta. I'm just like, why would she? Nesta's like 23 or something. Cassian's like 500. Like, as a woman who cares about other women, why are you going to the toddler to be like, hey, you better not be mean to this old man? What are you doing?
It's like, you know, when there's like a supermarket, right? And you've got like the old staff working there, and they're like in their 40s, 50s, and then this new student starts working there, not because they want to, but, you know, because they need to have a side job next to whatever else they're trying to get done in their education. And then the 50-year-old lecher, you know, starts crushing on the new student, and the other 40-year-old cashier woman like gets hostile towards the student, where it's like, why, this is the wrong person you should be having a talk with. I don't understand why Moore didn't walk up to Cassian and was like, what's going on? Because again, they are friends, right? They should be able to talk about that. Moore should be able to go, hey Cassian, so you're interested in this Nesta woman? Want to talk about that? I think it's a bit weird and whatever, right? But yeah, her hostility towards Cassian, because again, one of my biggest gripes with any sort of writing, but Sarah J. Maas does that a lot, I feel like, is stick traumatized woman with man who is, yes, obsessed with her, but also obsessed to the point of being inappropriate with her in one space, and shake the box until they become a couple. So Nesta is
until the channel doors interlock without any
so until the magnets connect, right? Because Moore is annoyed at Nesta for Nesta being like hostile and mean to Cassian, but from the other perspective, right? Considering what has happened to Nesta and the sisters in total, and suddenly there are all these horny dudes like, you know, making comments and watching and like ogling and shit, and Nesta's supposed to be like, thank you, and then to actually go into Silver Flames and for them to end up as a couple, not because they do talk a little bit, but like through the fuck buddy kind of route, it feels so off to me. I hate it. I hate the he's you know, she has to submit in the end anyways thing, and for Moore to be upset about Nesta being mean is insane to me, honestly.
Right, it is so crazy to go up to somebody who is much younger and very vulnerable and go, you better be nice to that guy who holds power over you. You wouldn't want to hurt his feelings while he's sexually harassing you, right?
Right.
Just so out of pocket, where I'm like, okay, this is, again, where I'm like, I don't think a feminist would write this. Frankly, I think a feminist would have a different conception of women, especially women who have themselves been victimized and are in their hometown activists for other women who have also been victimized. It's extremely weird. It so off-putting.
The fact, if you put yourself in your own shoes, like I actually have gone up to the men in these kind of situations and been like, dude, don't you think you're like overstepping a little? Even if, you know, there's interest from the other side, don't you think you should just chill for a moment and like try again in a couple of weeks or months, right? And for more to actually be angry at no.
Frankly, the vibes are that if Moore hadn't already known that Lysander and Feyre are mates, she also would have been like this to Feyre. The vibes are so... It's like, oh, okay. That's bad. Which makes her so unsympathetic. I'm just like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
Because it doesn't read as a friend being protective of a friend, right? That's not... It doesn't read as her being worried about, you know, the aftermath of this whole emotional thing. It reads as her being jealous and petty.
Right. It feels like she's warning of Nesta because she's encroaching on Moore's turf. It's like, hey, that's my guy. Get your fingers off him.
Which is so weird because I think the idea, like, initial idea of Moore in ACOMAF was, at least in regards to Feyre, was the exact opposite. It was supposed to be, you know, this supportive, modern, balanced woman who has her grievances and traumas, but could be an example for Feyre on how to, you know, combat that.
Yeah, I think it's just that every part of Moore's writing is bad. It's the same with her familial abuse, where somehow Moore is a super strong warrior, and in the Hewn City it's super normal to kill other people if they are mean to you or whatever. But her parents are still alive and still somehow exert power over her, even though she's Rysand's, like, third in command or whatever. And, you know, it just makes no sense. In most of her scenes, she's just scared of her father or gossiping. She just doesn't get much, right?
Yeah, especially, I hadn't even thought of that with the Hewn City, because I think the idea was, Rhysand was like, oh yeah, no, like, we have to keep up this charade, and, we can't just kill off the evil family of Moore, because then other evil family would come up, whatever. But it's like, why would that be such a bad thing? It's not like you have a lot of control over Moore's extended family because of Moore. It's more like a malice, like a nerf,
right?
that you have.
And you don't even have to kill them. Just torture them and show them that they can't treat Moore badly anymore. But no, that also doesn't happen. It's so weird. Moore is just... I know it's not, like, the character's fault that she's treated badly by the author, but that's also why she's never really appealed to me. And it's just... She's not really anything.
I think... first off, yes. I think a lot of the themes that were started in the first book, that when I read it the second time, I was excited to, this time, actively follow up on and be like, oh, okay, this is a theme, this is a little plot, this is something we're gonna follow through. As we've said in the very beginning of this video, fall apart during the rest of the books. But it's not like they get, like, it's not like she drops them. She tries to hold on to them and, like, still continue the narrative around each of these points, whether it's Moore or Amran or whatever the fuck. But then she just drops them. And that was, in the first time I read it, I didn't notice that much. The second time, it was like, what did it say in English? The cucumber slices fell off my eyes. I just saw it clearly this time. Don't laugh at me.
I don't know if that's a saying, but...
You know?
Your eyes were open to it, you know?
Yeah. Suddenly, I did see the forest because of the trees. You know?
Yeah.
The second time reading it.
What was it? I know there is a saying that's almost what you said, but I can't remember it.
Me neither.
Right
That's
now.
why you read with cucumber slices.
Regardless, your eyes were opened to the truth.
Yeah. The truth!
You reached enlightenment, in which the scathing comment of ACOTAR are bad, question mark?
ACOTAR bad, question mark? I did write down, is the success of ACOTAR due to the editor, lol? Because the first book was edited the most. And that's why it came. Yeah. Really strong theory there that I have.
I will say, I feel like a lot of things that get this popular are also things that are just kind of mid or worse. Because, unfortunately, what makes stories very good often is that they are not super obvious, that they do something interesting with, you know, tropes that otherwise would be cliche, and that they do interesting things with language. And all of these are off-putting to people who don't read a lot and don't care that much. Unfortunately, the common denominator is not interested in good literature, they're interested in fun drama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just look at, you know, Colleen Hoover not exactly winning any, I don't know what the book prizes are, but, you know, it's...
Awards.
Yeah,
accolades.
You know, right? She's not winning literary awards. These things just aren't as engaging to the general audiences who just don't care that much and don't read that attentively. So anything that gets this astronomically popular, unfortunately, is likely to be mid or bad. I mean, Six of Crows is unusually good for something that gets really, really popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, compare from the same author, the Grisha trilogy, significantly less good, but also very popular still at the time. So, yeah, it's unfortunately not being very good might work in favor of popularity, but yeah.
I think, to be honest, now that you mentioned that, it's not always necessarily about the quality of the text, right? Or in the least amount of times, it's about the quality of the text. It's about the idea that's being planted into the reader's head, right? And then a lot of your own, what's Kopfkino in English? Your own, like, headcanons and imagination that runs while you read the book, that then is responsible for the popularity of it. Because there's no need for... You can, like, right, you can enjoy bad books and you can enjoy bad movies for the sake of the idea and the fun of whatever, right?
Right.
So
I mean, I think this is especially true for books because they're so much longer and, like, less exciting. Because, like, obviously, again, like, just watching moving shapes... Like, just watching your screensaver can be entertaining for a bit. Like, right, just staring at a page is just not as viscerally engaging. But just having a vague outline and letting people fill in the blanks with their own ideas, just kind of gesturing in the direction of something interesting, is enough to get people engaged. Because most people, you know, if they are... reading something, because most people don't read that many books, are willing to engage a lot with the thing. They're not at the point at which I have arrived where if the book's not doing the legwork, I'm not doing it either. I'm not making up explanations for things that are weird in your story. You have to figure out your world building yourself. I'm not doing that work for you. But a lot of general audiences are willing to do that, even if it's just with a vague feeling of, oh, I'm sure this is true, so this makes more sense. Whereas critics and people who read a lot look at it and go, that's shit, what the fuck? I mean, you can see it in a much more exaggerated form with Lightlark, which does a lot less world building and a lot more vague gesturing and still ended up being really, really popular.
Crude gesturing.
Vulgar gestures.
Vulgar. Vulgar gestures even.
But, right, I feel like...
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, it's... that's why I, in the beginning, said, like, of the positive impacts, you know, this community building and this engagement that the series managed to do is because there's some sort of drug in the ACOTAR world and in the way everything gets introduced and the emotions it elicits that the people who do, like, don't even notice that they put in, what you said, legwork. They don't even notice. They're just going with it and it just happens. And I can empathize with that because my brain does that a lot too. I love to put in the legwork. That's what happens. And then you have, but I feel like that's also a general thing for romance that people say, I'm not gonna do the extra effort, you know, the romance haters. But on the other hand, the romance fans, they love to do that. And if you arrive, what you said, if you arrive at the point where you don't want to do it anymore, or you even have just a little bit of a critical eye at what actually happens, and you realize that upon rereading, the magic was inside of you and not inside of the book. You know? It's like...
We have before compared especially the dialogue of ACOTAR to a CW show. And I think this is very similar in the way that these shows are also fun, but only if you don't really pay attention. The moment you critically question any concept that's introduced, you are bound to lose. The more you think, the more you lose. And that's, I think, also why it's so upsetting to so many fantasy readers, because fantasy readers like to think about secondary worlds. They're interested in speculative fiction, specifically to see what interesting things someone can do with fantasy concepts. And ACOTAR is critically incurious about every aspect of its premise. We get introduced to a bunch of things, but none of them are really explored. The wall, you could have so much happen there, that, like, there is so much meat there, but all these dishes left on the table, barely touched. It's nothing. We just don't do anything with anything. We learn that lesser fae are treated as lesser. We learn about, hey, tithes are bad. Hey, these powers are necessary to keep the land going, but someone stole them, but we don't do anything with it. It's not... We have Amarantha, who's supposed to be this scary thing that's almost like a force of nature. And then it's just a jealous... She's not even an ex. She's not even a jealous ex. She's just...
She's not even... Yeah. She's just a stalker.
She's just a jealous incel. It's like, this guy won't fuck me? That's so rude.
Well, she's not an incel, right? It's not like she's not getting it.
Oh, that's true. Wait, I forgot. She's a jealous rapist. My bad.
Yeah. I was about to say, she has reason at gunpoint, you know? So
like the books I forgore.
Look at you. Replicating art. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think one thing that may have been detriment of, it's not a detriment, but you can expect more from your readers. And even though your initial idea is to write a romantic story and to have that at the forefront and just twinkle in a little bit of fantasy, the ideas that you put in, you are allowed to elaborate on them, and you can expect from your readers to not throw out the book just because you get into a little bit of more world building, not in terms of adding more, but
thinking about the lore dumps of Crescent City, maybe add it differently.
Using it more, right? I think because we have examples of books that have more extensive fantasy world building, and the romances still are the main events. And I think ACOTAR would have only prospered from that. Your villain doesn't have to be a cartoon, and the issues introduced are allowed to be important and have impact. So
I also think, and this is more from like the writers than the readers' perspective, but in writers' spaces, a lot of people, and like in common parlance, in many ways, world building is treated as a chore. It's something you have to do in order to, have a basis for your fun story to work. But the fact of the matter is really that world building is such an opportunity. If you're just curious about the things you introduce, it gives you chances for like new ways to do certain scenes, add more fun flavor to stuff. Like, just think about Starfall, right? It's one of the scenes that works really well because we've added the flavor of the falling ghoul creatures that look like, stars but aren't really. And it's not explored super far, but that's a fantastical element where you're like, oh, the Night Court should have special nights. Okay, what's special about those nights? Oh, what's cool about the night sky? Oh, no, falling stars are pretty beautiful. And then, you can just...
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hard or painful. You can just follow your own curiosity. You could explore a lot. You don't need to explore everything, right? If you don't like politics, you don't have to explore the politics and like, what are the setups between the courts? How are treaties signed? What are, what's the trade? Like, you don't have to explore that, but you can explore, what kind of fairies are there? What kind of lesser fae do what kind of things? What kind of fun interactions could Farah have where they help her or she helped? Right? The part where the Selkies come back that she helped at the beginning of the second book, when they come back to help her when they're stealing the book, that's one time something actually worked out where she was like, there's like people other than the protagonists who do stuff, and there are threads you can introduce that there's so much. Farah could explore, right, how these paints are made, what they're made from, what kind of magical paints you could, just something. You don't need to do everything, but just a bit of curiosity can add so much flavor to a text where it's just like, world building doesn't have to be scary or difficult, especially if you're doing something so magical where really you can do anything. You don't have to do painstaking research on what would the wingspan on a human need to be for wings to actually physically work. No one gives a shit. No one cares.
Maybe you're just
there's
that
like 3
muscular.
people, but they will read this anyway because they know this is not really something that matters. It's about the vibes. That's one of my points that I also mentioned in our reviews. I think, where's the whimsy? Just add more fun little things for flavor. It doesn't even have to be explained. It can just be fun things that add something to the scenes.
Yeah.
Something. Well,
and that's one of the points that gets lost in the rest of the series as well. The first book feels like fantastical, right? You've got all of these other creatures. We see everything, or a lot of things, like through the human Farah eye. And then when she gets the glimmer lifted, or what it was, the shimmer, the thing.
The glamour.
When she gets it lifted, the glamour, right?
She gets glammed up. No, she gets glammed down. Sorry.
Or she gets unglammed. She's like a get ready to sleep with me routine, and everything gets even more magical and more fantastical. And it's not just Feyre being in the Fey realm with this hot blonde dude and the other hot ginger dude, but she's in this world that feels like there's consequences. If she goes out into the woods, she's gonna get attacked. You know, that kind of stuff. And I get why you maybe wouldn't necessarily add this during the second book, the first half of the second book, because Feyre is depressed and she's not going to notice the whimsy and beauty around her, right? But it gets completely lost throughout the rest of the story, and it's just less fantastical. That's why I did like the Weaver plot, because it felt a little fairy tale again. No, right?
Absolutely, it does. But what you mentioned with like fantastical, I think whimsy is like such a positively, rooted word.
It's a connotation.
Fantastical, even in scenes where you're like, oh, it's serious, this is a war. But even in the first book, we still had the fantastical elements of, oh, these people have to wear masks that are just, they can never take off. Mm-hmm. Tamlin's heart is literally made of stone. But none of these fun, like, magical things come back for later. Yeah. That's why I was so upset about how basic the King of Hybern is. His castle is made of bone, but he doesn't wear a cool, like, skull-themed outfit. Nothing. He doesn't get served by an army of skeletons. Nothing.
I still don't know why I was like, oh yeah, he's wearing the Welsh flag as his Waffenrock over his armor. It still is. I'm never gonna get the forest green, like, white combo out of my head.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but as much as we love the people are grinding on each other. Like how much shit we had for the hewn city. I felt like that was one of the more fantastical points in the second book, where it's like, oh, we're doing something different. And
what if your throne room was a BDSM club?
We're actually, we're actually venturing a bit, like in a different. Like, we're not in Switzerland, Valaris, anymore. We're venturing into a different area.
We're now in a club in Bern,
Back, I know. But it feels like an attempt at, oh, right, we are in this world that's full of these different actors and avenues and stuff, right? It's a bit sad that it just turns into sexy throne scene in the end.
But I will say also for like, oh, this is like a dangerous sex dungeon or whatever. It's also very uncreative. It's a very vanilla view of what like weird sex stuff could be. No one's being led around on a leash. People aren't like chained. It's just vaguely, people are fucking. Which, okay, exhibitionism is not vanilla, I suppose. But if you, like, there's no one who's, like, getting off on torture or whatever. So it feels not very impactful. It's just like, oh, this is like a 15-year-old's idea of what an evil den of sin would be like.
What the den of sin might be. I get from a certain standpoint why a scene in a book series that you don't want to market as like 16 and up or 19 or 20 something and up, right? I understand why a book like should like there's no need to have,
but it was
the hardcore scene like that, right? At the same time, you can insinuate that more depravity is going on. That's not just grinding. Right?
No, but also on what you said, ACOTAR was literally one of the first books who was actively marketed as new adult, as aimed at adults, at people 18 to like 25 or whatever. It was literally marketed as for adults. It is obviously, from the writing style and the overlap of audience, read by people who also read YA. Obviously, teens read books for adults too, like obviously. But because it was actively marketed as adults, I feel like it should be more like... If a big part of your story is that there's a crazy sex dungeon that doubles as a throne room, you can be a little bit more explicit. You don't need Farrah to be horny about it. She can be weirded out by this. However, you don't have the excuse of being like, oh, right, it's not appropriate to describe. Then don't have the sex dungeon. If you don't want to describe it, just don't have it. Just have people be tortured. Just have a normal dungeon. Just have house music blaring while Ryson's trying to hold court. I like to imagine he has a little mic that he has to use because the music's too loud.
Give it up for Ryson! And then Azrael and Cassian come in, do some dance moves, to part the
doing
crowd.
A choreography. You get into the scene, you have like the wings and the wings part and Ryson's striding him.
A little bit of glitter.
Like a diva.
It's like a drag, RuPaul's Drag Race, like elimination thing. That's how he settles matters in court, He's like, shy away, and then they just get dragged to the torture chamber.
I was about to say, Ryson doesn't walk in, he comes down the stripper pole.
Shantae, you stay. Sashay to the torture chamber. But yeah, it's like, to get back to the overall point of all of this, it's just give us more. Even, I have to say, even the final battle and the whole war is so
boring
on fantasy, which is insane considering we have lasers being shot from fingers, death gods running around the battlefield, people who can teleport, a whole section dedicated to the fact that the first couple of hours of the battle are boring because we're shooting at magical shields. All of that, and the battle still feels more boring than any of like the historical novel movie battles I've consumed in my lifetime.
I honestly,
how do you manage that?
It really is it's just a tight encapsulation of how these books shouldn't have been about this, right? Because it's why wasn't it a more personal conflict where the solution is just that, they have a tight standoff with the King of Hybern and like maybe some of his generals, and then, there isn't like a huge, because it does nothing. Sarah isn't interested in battles, so her descriptions are boring and there's no tactics. There's nothing interesting because it's not a topic that interests her. At which point you go, hey, maybe don't write the thing you yourself don't find very compelling just because in theory it's epic. But, Yeah,
the final battle in Crescent City is batshit crazy, but that's the sort of level, like, anime boss fight level I expect from an epic fantasy series ending battle, right? Because, it doesn't make sense, whatever, but I am interested in the people with the strong powers fighting it out, Lydia and the Astari, and then
right. This is where I'm like, I can imagine that they're now pulling out the opening song and blaring it over this, and you're like, fuck yeah, this is the coolest shit, go, go, go. Like, but that's here I'm just like, can we stop? Oh, more pages.
Oh my god, now they're going to the
Me checking, oh no, it's still 3 minutes on this fight scene. Oh my god.
And that's not the feeling you're supposed to be left with
the
in
vibe
the fantasy.
you want.
Yeah.
And I just hate that this fight also takes all the whimsy out of Bryaxis, out of the Weaver, out of the Bone Carver. There's nothing interesting. Everything is the boringest version of itself. Sarah's like, magic is beams. The more magic it is. And that's how it goes.
She managed to make the character that was involved in one of the coolest scenes in the second book, the Weaver. She managed to make the death of this character be so fucking boring and like not even shock value. I was in shock. The first time I read this, I wasn't shocked at all. I was like, oh, okay, so that happened. Because it's so boring, and at no point do you think that like the King of Hybern would be in any danger from the Weaver. And the Weaver also just doesn't really put an effort. Just gets the next snap.
Yeah, she just stands there.
She manages to make this death so fucking boring. Like, and the Bone Carver, when he dies, you know, it's like, why are you so weak? Like,
one, why are you so weak? But B, I thought you have prophetic abilities. Why are you in the blast range? When clearly you can predict things that haven't happened yet.
I mean, you could pull the bullshit excuse of, oh, they wanted to die, blah, blah, whatever. I don't buy that, first of all. It's just, do you know? No, you don't, because you're not on TikTok. The people who consume shorts. There's this, I don't know what the video game is called, but there's
I know you mean YouTube shorts, but it just made me think of people who eat shorts as in the clothing item.
There's like this video game or like this simulator where you can like simulate like big battles, and people just put up these videos of I don't know, like one Godzilla versus 10,000 chicken. Who wins? Right? And it feels like that was the situation with the Bone Carver, right? One Bone Carver versus 5,000 Hybern soldiers. Who wins? And you'd expect it to go like in the videos where Godzilla just lasers all the chicken, but the Bone Carver just gets overrun by the Hybern soldiers. And you were standing on the side in your Bone Carver merch, you know, being like, yeah,
it's already over. Never mind.
Shit.
The thing is also, and maybe that's just me, but obviously. I think if something is described as a death god, it should be either impossible or extremely difficult to kill. There should be...
I agree.
This should not be something that can be killed by classic murder means. If you behead it, it won't work, you can't bleed out. Like, it should be killed by something maybe, like, allegorical, where it's like, oh, it can be killed by life, or something, right? So, whatever. But you shouldn't be able to just walk up, break its neck, and then feed it to your mutant dogs. That's not... That shouldn't work.
The dogs!
It shouldn't work. It should end with all the dogs exploding and the death god putting itself back together and then tearing you to shreds. That's how it should go. You should... That's crazy. I also can't believe that we're going, oh yeah, remember those two bitch-ass death gods who got murdered, like, immediately in the last book? Yeah, it's their older brother who's the main villain who might destroy the whole world or something. But I think if we just behead him or hit him with a beam, it might just do the trick, honestly.
I think a stick is enough, you know? You just hit him with a stick like 5 times.
Like a dead horse. It should work.
Like Sarah J. Maas is doing, yeah. just beat the dead horse a bit more. You are correct. It's very weird to introduce the super evil new villain, who is supposedly the same level as... It also makes Nesta, in context, seem kind of weak. Now that I'm thinking about it. Lady Death, we've met like 5 death gods, and they're all not special.
Frankly, I know, Sarah, you love your interdimensional portals, but I think there shouldn't be this many death gods in one world. It's crowded, it makes them seem less cool. There should really only be one Or if you're doing the whole, like, you know, triumvirate thing, if it's always like 3 of everything, okay, we can also do that, I guess. But at some point, there's a limit. You can't just be doing, oh, there's another death god. Oh yeah, that guy in the prison, also some sort of death god. What does it mean? They kill people. And then you go, doesn't everyone do this here all the time? And Sarah's just like, don't worry about it, kitten. And you go, yay, yippee.
I know that God and like deity is kind of, you know, the same thing, sort of. But just wording wise, it would make more sense to call them deities or something like that.
It's weird that they're called gods at all, because we never get any insight into what on Prithian would be considered a god.
A god.
What even that means. Is it just a descriptor of someone very powerful? Would people speak of Farah as like a god? Because technically she should be super powerful, but also she can, you know, lose a fight super easy. So, you know how it goes.
And yeah, especially because with, you know, taking Crescent City also into context, we know that characters who do get titled as gods, not just in Crescent City, but also in hindsight in the other series where they're called Daglin, are essentially just, you know, like the next Dragon Ball supervillain, right? They're not a god. They're just another uber powerful being that if we train hard enough in our little chamber and unlock the next Super Saiyan level, we can beat.
Frankly, that makes it extra funny, and the implications are great, that Amren comes from a world in which the Old Testament exists, and that God presumably exists, because it means we can actually go and kill God. Yay! Yippee! Woohoo!
Yeah!
It's really funny. It's like, yes, the Abrahamic God exists, and yes, you can beat him to death with hammers if you find the right hammer. Congratulations! The implications
is that God
are great.
Also just a little twink waiting in his throne room eating star energy? Who knows?
Could be anything. I mean, it also like, connects to like Amren being built up as super strong, and then she also doesn't really do anything in the fight. It's just, what's the point? What are we doing?
That was one of the things where I had actually forgotten. I was like, Amren betrays us. I didn't remember that from my first read through, and then I was so disappointed. I was like, oh. I mean, yeah, she kind of does, because I was like, okay, somebody needs to swoop in and save us, and I was like, oh, it's Amren. Oh, what's happening? But then I was kind of disappointed by the lack of fantastical beasts. You know, it's like.
I also will say, it's weird that Amren, right, turning herself back to her previous form, is enough to destroy the cauldron somehow, even though her form isn't even that powerful. Like, the implication feels like, oh, she climbed in, and when she came back out, her angel ass was just too fat, and, you know, the thing broke. But, right? That's what it feels like. Just
it's
like physically, she
it's
just
became eyes.
Too big.
It's angel ass.
Too big for the cauldron that is perhaps the size of a bathtub.
She got a BBL well in there. She didn't take the beauty but the ass from the next person. You go in after her, you end up flat as a pancake.
And that's why Ryzen had to kill himself.
He's like, don't take my bum, my bubble cheek ass.
I need that for my performances at the Hewn City.
But no, I agree. It makes it. But we did talk to previously, I think also in the ACOTAR video, how it's weird that, and I blame Sarah J. Maas's lack of planning, that we lump in a variety of people into the they were made category, and then it just works out that Amren just goes into the cauldron.
Right, like Amren's doing DIY surgery on herself. Farah gets made by everyone, like chucking in a bit of their power.
Yeah.
Anesta and Elaine crawl out of the cauldron. It's just, it could be anything, man. Next guy who's made a little tin soldier who came alive. I don't know, like it could be anything.
Yeah, I bet you Nyx also will count as a maid dude baby. You know,
I mean, all babies are made, I presume.
Yes, no.
Farah becomes a cauldron herself.
Perhaps the size of a bathtub. It's a water birth, everyone. But like, you know, it's very weird. It's not even. Yeah, no, it's very weird.
It really, the whole like power thing also just. Why would humans ever stand a chance against Fae? Why do human armies even matter in the face of people who can... I mean, Raisin's special, not everyone can turn people into blood mist, whatever. However, most Fae are way faster, they have some powers, and they are not stopped by iron here, so... You really don't have any choice or chances to beat them.
The only thing is the Ashwood, but as described by Feyre, it was very easy for the Fae to just, rot out the Ashwood trees to the point where a little grove of trees inside of the, what was their name? The Johnsons, Grayson. Yeah, I think the fiance. Just enough for those, 5 trees to be a threat.
But also the Ashwood doesn't kill you, because the King of Hybern, or his people, shoot Raisin 20 times, and he's still around. He's just a little... He's a
special man.
He's mostly incapacitated by the poison they put on it, which the king brewed in the cauldron.
Honestly... The king is the most, relatable slave dude. But the king is actually, of what we said so far, we wanted from the characters, right? He's educated. He's putting in the work. He has his little spell book that's, so fucking powerful.
That's not explained, or whatever spells are. We don't know.
None of the other people... can replicate those spells and curses and actually have a hard time breaking them because he's just so smart and cool, right? And then he makes little poisons and he builds a castle out of bone and he actually puts in an effort to, do political scheming and find allies outside of the UK, and he puts in the work, and he's average height, so you can actually immediately kiss him and give him snuggles and have a nice spooning in bed is easier. I'm just saying.
No, you opened my eyes because he is in the world of ACOTAR is a nerd, and our protagonists are all jocks, and he doesn't fight physically. He does his little magics. He has his little book with spells. But all our good guys are like, I used up all my magic. Now I'm gonna choke people with my bare hands and rip them apart. Whatever, right? Yeah. Nerdphobia once again. He's just a goth nerd. I can't believe I didn't see it before. Never mind. I stand now.
Thank you. I have redemption for me and my favorite man. No,
he was, again, we've also said this before, but he was actually a feminist king. His highest ranking like generals, 2 women. Were they crazy? Yeah, maybe. But he was not intimidated by their physical powers because he knew he could trust them. Well, and then they went crazy and did weird shit, but...
I mean, he could still trust them, just not...
Yeah, they still did stuff that worked for him, so,
They still did what they were supposed to do.
Right. King shit.
So...
literally.
King shit.
And he's Irish, and honestly, I think he deserves beating up the British. Ireland deserves it. Yeah. He's not even Catholic. Look at that. It's great.
I don't even know how to... let me go through...
How to come back from this. If we should stand anyone as a Jurian... He has been tortured for forever, and then he's still a good guy. Everyone's like, wow, he's probably crazy about his ex-girlfriend, but he's like, no, obviously that was just a bit. I was pretending. I'm just a normal dude, man. I'm just a normal guy.
He swaggers downstairs, he secures himself a cute little threesome.
He's just some guy. For being stuck as an eyeball for 500 years, he's surprisingly well-adjusted. That's all I'm saying.
He is. This is another thing. Thank you for mentioning this. This is another thing that we can, like, I feel like a lot of stories suffer from this, and it's fine. You want to make certain scenes happen, whatever. But considering how overpowered Feyre and Rhys are in the mind reading area, right? It's still so funny to me that we even get this addressed through Jurian, who was like, guys,
you read my mind?
You could have easily found out. I was like screaming. My mind was screaming at you, being like, hello, I'm one of the good guys. Why didn't you listen to me? Like, why are you so dumb? And yeah, throughout the whole series, in several parts, if Rhys would have just actually used his mind-reading powers instead of acting all high and mighty and being like, oh no, it's a violation of people's privacy, as if he's the kind of person that respects.
As if he doesn't literally have a part in ACOMAF where he's like, listen, Feyre, it's fine. You'll feel bad about it, but it's necessary to violate people. You'll feel bad every time, but it gets easier.
Yeah. Like...
No... Him and Feyre just go, oh, I forgore, and that's how it goes.
And that's...
it's the same with what makes Feyre's other court's power that she should have that never gets used. Again, because she gets benched in the 3rd book already.
Yeah.
But she should really be, like, on the battlefield... winning hardcore with, like, the combination of different magics that no one can predict because no one else can do that. It should be her who has a beef with the King of Hybern, not Rhysand, but whatever. Let the men fight it out.
It's not like she doesn't train, right? She does train. She goes through the steps. And the only, like, there's a huge focus on her learning to fly and not managing it. But we don't really get to see the rest of her training for her other powers. And she doesn't... It's still so stupid to not put her into the fights at least a little bit as well. I get it. We're protecting her because if she dies, then Rhys dies. Yada yada. But... she's not incapable, right? She can winnow. She can just winnow away. Whenever something happens, she could just go, ooh, winnow away to the viewing platform that Nesta sits on, right? And be like, that was close. It's just fucking stupid.
Again, she gets so sidelined. It's so disappointing. Because I understand many people read the book for Rhysand as a love interest and not necessarily for Feyre. She's just there because we need a protagonist for your love interest. But I liked Feyre. I thought she was fun. I wanted more for her. Yes. But I didn't get it. I'm also... I mean, we have talked about maybe doing like a rewrite thing if we can figure out the logistics for it.
Oh, yeah.
But I still think it would be cool if Feyre was like physically powerful and Rhysand's just a little, he's a little guy. He does like mind reading. He has cool like mind powers, but he's not a warrior because he's, a little politician dude. That could be interesting, but that's too progressive for Sarah J. Maas. That's too unstereotypical. We can't be doing this. Women can't be more powerful than men. Oh no.
Yeah, there's also the aspect of not everybody has to be highly skilled. Just because, like, he can be a warrior, like a physical warrior. He just doesn't have to be the super highest skilled guy, or even the
best,
most average,
coolest Illyrian warrior with the most rippling muscles.
We have Cassian for that, right? So it's like we already have a dude who like satisfies that point of perspective, and that's kind of his thing is like, oh, Cassian is the general because he's so good at like all of this kind of stuff. Do we even need Cassian if we have Rhysand? I'm not saying that characteristics aren't allowed to overlap, but like...
No, but also, again, in like, if we contrast the love interests, Tamlin already has the bulging muscles covered. Mm-hmm. If we're going to a different guy who is significantly different, it would help if he wasn't also of the exact same body type, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the visual character designer in me that goes, they can't just all have the same body type. What are we, Genshin Impact? We can't be doing this.
I think I liked the Feyre in the first book a lot. And I like Feyre and Tamlin together in the first book as well. Like their interactions. And then we have a change, obviously, through trauma and other things happening. So that means, okay, the old Feyre in that term is lost and not coming back, and that is explicitly said so in the text, right? She's like, I've lost something and I'll never get that feeling back. And then even though in the text it is shown, I don't think we arrive at a stable Feyre point 2.
Yeah. And
then that is bad for everything else, including what you said, the romances and the characterization of the other counterpart. Because if you don't have a stable or somewhat stable idea, at least, where your main character is going, how can you even put a love interest there to be involved in that too? Because that's the idea. Tamlin is the beast muscle guy, and then in the beginning, Feyre thinks it's kind of hot, and it complements her as her character in the first book, and then she changes and she turns into her own muscle woman and her own powerful being, and that means, things don't grind anymore. And Sarah J. Maas went with, well, then she just needs a more hotter, more powerful dude.
Yeah, it's just better.
Her counterpart.
Yeah.
Which is,
it really is just, I understand also why there are so many, how would you say this, engaged haters, because there's so much to say and there are so many aspects where you're like, oh, you could improve this easily like this. Mm-hmm. Where again, it's like, if the second and third book had an editor with like input, I could imagine them actually addressing a number of these things easily, because it feels like a lot of these things are just so obviously set up that it feels weird and like you're missing a step on the stairs that they don't get addressed. You're like, well, what happened? Did we address this? No, we didn't. We should have.
Especially because a lot of points surrounding Feyre are so well written and executed in terms of, especially like the trauma stuff and all, that it feels weird to see like adjacent themes not properly being addressed or like carried out at all. And then we just lose Feyre as a character, and then she just dissolves, which is so sad, because it's like people compare her and Katniss a lot, also because of the general theme with the arrow and the bow and the hunting and the supplying the family, yada yada. But while Katniss goes through a character development in the 3 books and arrives at a certain point, Feyre just doesn't. And I feel like the bow is where the similarities end, for these characters. Maybe not in the first book, but in after the second one.
I mean, she doesn't even really use a bow anymore at the end.
Which is insane. Why does she not get to do magic archery?
It feels insane that she doesn't get more opportunities to use her tracking skills, now just magically enhanced. Yeah. That she doesn't get to use a bow, that she doesn't get to do snares, and that her skills are just not relevant anymore. She becomes such a bland cutout of a beautiful girl in beautiful outfits who can also fight.
Yeah.
It's not very engaging.
There's a certain aspect of creativity in the first book that's not does not carry through to the rest of them. And the few moments where it feels like she applies her skill or applies new skill are the only memorable moments of the books in general. It's just one of the things also, why is nobody using physical shields? They're all using swords, but not a physical shield. They're like, oh yeah, you can be hacked to bits as well, right? That you can still get hurt. Why not have a shield? You know what cool fucking fight moves you can pull off with a shield? And
you know, Sarah has never watched a single video with like Hema or whatever. She does not care about these things. She just thinks, shields look stupid. I don't like them. It's cooler when people hold 2 blades at once.
It's not even, but she has watched other like fantasy stuff, right? And I know usually the main characters only have like a long sword, or 2 swords, but a lot of the NPCs in movies usually have Lord of the Rings, they all have a shield. Like,
you really want me to believe that Sarah J. Maas is a Lord of the Rings fan? That's not how it reads at all. If she likes anything, it's like stuff with, maybe there are battles, but a lot of it is just like sexy men who are shirtless sometimes. And I don't think the battle scenes hold her attention because the men are no longer bulging underneath their outfits.
You know what bulges when you hold a shield, right? And you're holding up against another person and then boom, whack their head. She is missing out.
I think I have another note, which I think we should talk about. Because while I was thinking about the overall direction that especially the ACOTAR universe has taken, I was thinking that maybe Sarah would benefit. And this is not a like judgmental statement. I don't say this in judgment, but maybe she'd be happier if in this case she was writing erotica instead of romantasy. And I think erotica is super valid. It's just a different genre because I think in erotica there is a much more of this unspoken contract between the reader and writer that most of the world building is there to facilitate fun, interesting sex situations that can be dramatic or unusual, but no one is there to analyze if these things really make that much sense. You agree that they're there to facilitate the fun sex. And with the way that sex scenes have multiplied in the following books, I feel like genuinely this might be more fun for her if those are the scenes she likes writing and she doesn't actually enjoy building out a world that much and she's mostly interested in hot magical people having weird magical vanilla sex with other hot magical people. Like, I feel like maybe she's being held back by the genre she's in. She might have a better time if she wasn't constrained to having to also tell a story that holds up in the fantasy genre. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but honestly, I think she does want to tell the fantasy story. She's just not good at it. It would be That sounds so mean. But
no, I mean, the stories aren't good, so it's not like you're wrong.
Like, you know, people have ideas and stuff. I'm one of those people who has like these very specific scene ideas, but I know I'd be shit at connecting them and making a coherent thing out of it. I like making up a world, but putting a character in the world and actually executing a story, I'd be like, nah. So I have the funky scenes, I have the world building, but no story that would ever come of it. And I think she has the funky scenes and the character-driven stuff that makes you connect. But she's just not good at the world building, but because she wants to tell the story anyways, as she does.
Okay.
So I wonder whether it's really a lack of interest, because otherwise she wouldn't have the shiny new idea syndrome, right? She has all the fantasy ideas.
I mean, but does she really? Are a lot of these even actual ideas, or just vaguely, oh, I heard this mythological sounding name. Oh, I'm gonna glance at the first 2 sentences of the Wikipedia and then I'm gonna throw it in with the rest. And it's just, none of it connects in a way that's like interesting. Right? You know, in my personal experience, if you're interested in fantasy, you're interested in more than just random names or vibes or the most stereotypical versions of stuff. So it feels difficult for me to square the idea that she has a genuine interest in this stuff with what she actually produces, which seems so boring and stereotypical and uncreative and uninterested in exploring.
The oh god, the uninterested in exploring. I get that. I vibe with that. I still don't
that
think
sounds like you're uninterested in exploring fantasy gods.
Come back next week when we explore. No, but I don't think you have to. I think you personally.
You mean I'm just insane? Okay, yeah, we can.
No. I was about to go like the other way around. You are very invested in ideas, and you have a very, what did I want to say, like inquisitive nature about that kind of stuff, which is why a lot of these more shallow is the wrong word, because shallow implies that that's a bad thing, but I'm just going to use it because no other word comes to mind. That these more shallow stories and storytellings and plot points to you don't make any sense, because you're like, but why not explore? But if that's not something that drives you, but it's just the shiny, glittering new idea that got into your head because you read the word Calliope somewhere and then you looked up the Wikipedia, right? I feel like that's enough for you to, for her to throw on her epic scene playlist on Spotify and write out a little thing and insert that into the book. Because otherwise, why would she even do it at all? Why would she even put it into the book to begin with?
For her, it's enough to be like, what if Nesta became a death goddess and she had like cool items to work with?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's all it goes. It doesn't go with,
yeah,
okay, but like, what does it actually mean to be a death god? What would her powers be? It's just like, no, she's a death god and she has powers. What those powers are, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That sounds insane to me. I'm just like, but it's fun to think about.
Think about why else would more just be truth.
I will never forget the Orb of Truth. That is still one of my favorite things. It turns out there was an orb. Yeah, the Orb of Truth.
Let's do
it. Ponder my orb.
Mama.
But really, like, we need the Orb of Truth, which is owned by Moore's family, and she also happens to be Truth. Was the orb involved in her conception? Was like, is there a connection?
I also feel like this was one of the most like missed opportunities for them to unpack a little bit of that fairy fiendishness and to just be like, we need a crystal ball. And then we're gonna use some magic and we're gonna pretend that this is a magical artifact, right? And be like, oh, it's the ball of truth. Why would the queens not trust it?
I mean, honestly, it's also just like the idea that, how do we prove we're good guys? We show them Valaris. This will somehow mean to them the same thing it means to us, even though they don't.
It's also so fun. That actually is super funny if you think about it. Imagine you are a human queen. You're being invited to like a meeting with the people who have been torturing and like annihilating your own people for centuries. You know them as savages, as the evil people. You know they're smart. You know they're conniving little pieces of shit. And you meet with them and they're like, pretty please, we have to work together. And you're like, okay, give me one reason. And then they're like, we have a city where there's peace. And it's like, yeah.
Also, just imagine them being like, we're not so different. We also like to go shopping.
Consumerism is alive and well in Valaris.
It's like, Ernest is like, well, I'm also a bit of a fashionista myself, if I may say so.
We even have those funky sports, and the humans are like, oh, we don't have sports because you killed, like, you destroyed all the stadiums.
We don't have sports because everyone's poor. Thank you.
Great to know that you have baseball in Valaris.
Honestly, give you one reason. Well, here we have top of the line fairy sex toys. You cannot even imagine how well these will pleasure you. It's just like throwing on a whole telemarketer perspective, like, you know.
But yeah, it's such a dumb scene now that I'm thinking about it. Which makes the queens being a villain in Silver Flames even more funny, because it's like, what are they supposed to do?
Right, it's also just like, okay, queen, if the cauldron made you ugly, wouldn't you more blame the king of Hybern? I would be like, hey, he planned this, he did this on purpose because he hates humans, right? I don't understand why you would have beef with Nesta.
Or blame the cauldrons or something.
Right. Blame fairies and be like, okay, now I'm gonna live my immortal and old woman life in peace. Fuck you people. I don't know.
Yeah, or just kill random fairies. It's just, yeah.
No, it's so funny to me that Sarah was like, new villain? No, old villain, as in, she looks old.
Old!
Yeah. You know what's even scarier than a sexy femme fatale who tortures you? An old crone. Yeah.
A gilf. Yeah, no, it's certainly,
But when I heard that she was an evil old crone, I got reminded of our conversations that women can only be, like, hot evil bitches or old women.
You can't have a normal person being a villain.
No.
Which is, like, the most interesting, next to the batshit crazy villain, is the most interesting villain of all. Because it's like, yeah, it's just a normal person, and for whatever reasons, maybe because they just suck, or maybe because, you know, drama, whatever, they do evil things. We can't have that.
Right.
Not allowed.
It's
unless you're the king of Hybern and you're very average.
You're just a normal looking dude.
With a young body.
Honestly, if she really wanted him to be a good nerd, she should have given him glasses. That would have been really funny.
It would have been like, he's so average, he's a fae with, like, unsuperior eyesight. All we have to do is knock off his glasses during the fight, guys. He can't read his magical spell book anymore.
And then it turns out he was a hipster who wore glasses for the style and not because he needed them. They knock them off and they go, these don't even have lenses. How did we not notice this? No, but this reminded me of a point where it really is annoying that these books cannot do nuance at all. We can't do, like, not even on the small scale of, hey, the Archeron sisters don't really get along and they have like bad blood. Obviously, they still care about each other and would save each other's lives, but they can't stand each other in like a, living together situation. Mm-hmm. But we also can't do nuance on like a higher level. The Autumn Court guy, what's his name? Baron, right?
Baron?
He can't be obsessed with his bloodline and abusive to his sons, but still on the right side of history in regards to, he hates the King of Hybern and he was against human slavery. No, he has to make a heel turn and also be just evil in, like, Silver Flames.
Yeah.
He can't, right? He cannot be personally in his relationships be terrible, but have, like, a better agenda than other... Why would he be on that? It's just so stupid. There are good, like, people who seem good, who can be abusive at home. There are people who can be abusive but still be politically for good policies. There is nuance. People aren't just like, this is a good guy, but we can't do that. We couldn't even do Tamlin is abusive to Farah, but not deep down a bad guy, and what he needs is help and not to be isolated. But the story is like, no, he's evil and he deserves to be sad and alone forever and have his house crumbling around him while he roams the grounds in his beast form and eats it raw because no one can cook for him and he can't cook either, I guess. It's just, we can't even do that. We can't even do, hey, maybe your ex wasn't the evilest guy alive but just had problems, and if you're not living with him, maybe you can actually have a civilized conversation where you're both like, yeah, that was bad, and it was your fault. Yeah, okay, but we can move on now. Based
Reddit comment on a r/relationship post. Maybe your ex wasn't, totally evil. But I agree. I totally agree. To there's no nuance there, and I think that's also why the whole overall conflict feels so low stakes, even though it's about the invasion of the world, because there's like, war is a nasty business. No, it's not in this book. We don't have to ally with people who are like kind of fucked up or anything, because they take themselves out, right? Like, in the end, we only ally with people who are most like 90% actually good guys, and any like positive acts from people who we perceive as evil, like Tamlin in the end, come because Tamlin goes and says, I want you to be happy, Feyre, do that for me, be happy, and he goes out of his way to make that amend. Right? It's not because our heroes go through the difficult decision to face conflict. It's disgustingly low stakes.
I think it's even like crazier how Tamlin gets treated in Frost and Starlight and Silver Flames after he saved Rhysand, like saved his life. He was dead. He brought him back to life. Like right after he did this, that he's still like, those books are still like, no, he's like a terrible guy. It's like, clearly he's trying to make amends. Come on. I already forgot about that part again because I was just like, Rhysand's dead, whatever, who cares. But I also think that the higher the stakes, the lower the stakes, because the world's not gonna end. No one's destroying the universe. This is not the kind of book in which bad things actually happen to anyone who matters and, have lasting consequences. That just doesn't happen. This is a book for babies. Bad things do not last. There is no... there are only bad choices. No, there are clearly the right choices who lead to the best outcome. You don't have to make sacrifices. No one dies. None of the main characters dies because Rhysand doesn't count and Amren doesn't count because they're fine 3 minutes later. It's just... nothing bad happens.
The worst things that happen to our characters happen in the first book. Yeah. Everyone, Rhysand included, right? Or anything that like happens before the first book, and afterwards it's Feyre trying to console with her struggles, which again is done well. I have no notes on the trauma and like healing she goes through, in contrast to the Nesta journey. But yeah, there's no consequences to nothing. I mean, there's like domino effects of A happens, so B happens as well,
of course.
right? But there's like no detrimental consequences to anything. Nothing nips them in the bud bad enough for me as a reader to be like, no, don't do it, no, please, because yeah,
Cassian's wings get shredded, but they're fine. Like the next time we meet
back,
him,
yeah.
Don't worry. No one here gets disabled by the horrors of war. Lasting consequences don't exist. We can't have the male lead of our next book be disabled. That'd be crazy.
Like, his guts are out, right? There it's literally said, oh yeah, I saw your intestines, and
his guts were, like, his wings were totally ripped apart. It was like, oh, he might never be able to fly again. And it's like, okay, he's definitely gonna be able to fly again, because it's the kind of book where no one gets disabled. Like, come on, we knew this.
Can't have that he can't fly away with Nesta in his arms in the next one.
We can't have it that he can't imitate Rysand and Farah and their air sex or whatever they're going to do in their free time.
I wonder whether in the next book, if it's gonna talk about Azriel more, whether the torture and stuff that he had to go through as a child and adolescent that resulted in the scars that he has will have like an impact, whether it's also weirdly gonna get sexualized in a way where it's like, oh damn, look at those scars, and it's like
his scarred hands. Oh, he's so strong for enduring that. Oh, I bet they feel rough.
Oh!
Your face.
And it's like, yeah, because I feel like you can make it like romantic and sensual without fetishizing the whole thing, right? Like, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be part of any of these scenes because it's part of the character, but I feel like
no, I know what
she doesn't have the bandwidth for that. I mean Sarah.
It's also with the fact that no one seems to really be suffering any lasting consequences. It makes their horrific backstories just kind of comical because they're so over the top at some points that you're just like, okay, cool. He was the saddest baby ever who got tortured forever. Okay. So, you go in and it's like, oh, yeah, I was the Omelas child. And the next one is like, oh, yeah, me too. Oh, yeah, me too. It's just, And
then it gets made even more ridiculous by one of the characters later having their story retconned by the abuser who says, well, not everything is as it seems.
Right, where it's like, oh, Eris is hot, and he's gonna be the next Lord of the Autumn Court because we're gonna kill his evil dad. And like, oh no, he was never one of the main abusers for Lucian because he knew Lucian was a bastard, and no one else put together that the guy with a distinctly different skin tone maybe was the son of the guy his mom had an affair with for centuries. But, sure, man.
It's still the funniest bit out of all of it. Recent being like, what?
Yeah, Recent being just like, what? You're so right.
Azriel, the spy master, going, right.
It's the same energy as Recent being like, you already noticed that there's something going on with Cass, Moore, and Azriel. Don't mention that. And Fair feeling like, wow, I think I might sense something while they're standing there with the most obvious issues imaginable. And everyone who's ever seen them was like, oh, not touching this. That's, the vibes are off.
not getting involved in this workplace romance. Nuh-uh.
And everyone, and Fair's just like, oh, I'm the first one who noticed this. Is Rysand even aware? That's so funny.
I miss first book Lucian. He would have been so fun. Rowan would have been great in this constellation.
Rowan would be amazing. I really, after finishing ACOTAR, I was like, I know my mind might change drastically if I actually reread it, But even while I was reading ACOTAR, I always had a softer spot for Throne of Glass because I do think it's a more fun story.
It has
because
more
there's
of
just
that
more characters
aspect.
And it doesn't just, refer to a character as a dragon. It has real dragons. I love Abraxas, or whatever his name is. I love my disabled dragon son. Yeah. He's so cute. He's everything to me.
It has silk spiders.
It has so much cool. It has fun stuff going on. It has so much drama. And I just found it more fun than ACOTAR. And especially after ACOWAR, I was like, Kingdom of Ash might not be a banger, but at least it didn't make me feel like this. But if I reread it, I'd probably also have some harsher thoughts on it than I do right now. But lucky for me, it's too many pages for me to even bother thinking about, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, I can relate.
Not doing that. I'm just gonna happily hold on to the thought that at least Aelin and Rowan got to be friends first before they had to have weird sexual tension.
I loved their relationship.
Which makes them the most slow burn couple Sarah has ever managed. Incredible.
Unless in ACOTAR 6 we get Lucian Azrael. But
I mean, we won't, but if we did, I'd be so happy. It'd be a bad version, but I would be excited nonetheless. Because it'd be crazy.
We just need some subliminal messaging to her, we need to change her algorithm so that she gets all the...
Me and Sarah, they can both be into Elaine and then also hold hands. It's fine, Sarah. Sarah, it's okay.
This is my boyfriend and this is my boyfriend's boyfriend.
Right. This is my boyfriend Lucian and my other boyfriend Azrael, and they're also boyfriends. Okay.
It's like this meme. I want boyfriends and I want my boyfriends to be boyfriends too.
Yeah, listen, Elaine deserves a threesome, and it's only romantic if those two guys are also into each other, so we need to make it happen. Sarah, listen, it's the only way. It's the only way, Sarah.
Sarah being attacked with the finally give us the threesome scene, right? And then she's like, fine, here you go, take it. And everybody's like, oh, not that kind of threesome. Oh.
Everyone's like, well, the prose is terrible, but queer rights, ?
Slay. Looking at my notes, I don't have any anymore. Most of me was just ranting about Feyre getting benched.
That one's so bad. But yeah, no, one of my notes is... Oh, yeah, that's also about Silver Flames still.
Oh. Yeah, go.
Which is Sarah's take on substance abuse, which extremely bad might be an understatement. The idea that if somebody is addicted, or not addicted necessarily, but extremely reliant on taking something just to get through the day because they feel that bad, that the right decision is to cut them off cold turkey and force them into a training camp regimen unless they want to be homeless. That's a cruel, callous thing to do, but also, and I know they're Fae or whatever, but in the real world, cold turkey withdrawal from alcohol can kill you if you have been drinking enough and regularly enough. The withdrawal symptoms will, with not even a low likelihood, kill you. So it is absolutely never recommended. The idea that this is what happens to Nesta is crazy to me. That...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I feel like she probably heard that for some people and for some certain drug abuses, cold turkey does work well in terms of it's easier for these people. But it does not feel like she doesn't, but it does not feel like she even had a little moment of research for things. Because it's not like stopping smoking cold turkey, for example. It's different because it impacts you even more physiological than quote unquote just smoking, for example. And even there, it depends on the person whether cold turkey works or not.
And just like the idea that forcing someone into rehab works is also just delusional. We know that unless people are actually motivated themselves, the only thing that happens is that they won't take the thing as long as they don't have access, but they'll immediately relapse because they're not actually interested in doing the, like, they need to want it. And also, I don't know, like, self-determination is important. And even if people do things that are bad for them, they need to have the choice to do the bad thing because that's just necessary. But really, I mean, yeah. The book frames it as like, oh yeah, it was totally the right thing to do that to her, to take her out of her living situation. I mean, none of them were there often enough to know if she had friends where she lived. They don't know. And then force her to live with this guy who objectifies her all the time. And she's alone and at his mercy all the time in a house she can't leave. Hello? That's insane.
Like, I know, again, it's a fantasy story, whatever. It's framed as them not knowing how to help her otherwise. So at least they're trying to get her out of this literally toxic situation of, intoxication, right? But in order to... If you can't, what you said, you can't throw someone into that situation alone and hope for it to get better. What would have been like, it doesn't feel like there's a continuous effort from any other of the characters, and they don't have to, right? They don't have to. Feyre is in, like, she has the perfect reasons to not want to use her precious energy to help Nesta due to the abuse she suffered through Nesta. She still wants to and does because she's a good person, even if the attempt is a bit misguided. But nobody visits her. Well, they do, but like once or twice.
The problem once a month. Really is that, like, right? That it works. That the framing of the story is that Nesta comes out of it going, oh yeah, this was actually good for me. Which is like, no, it was not, especially because in this case, she's not even harmed by her drinking habits or her sleeping around. So really what it just is her family looking at her habits and going, you have too much sex for our taste. You shouldn't smoke weed so often. We're gonna force you into rehab for no good reason. And then they don't actually have to find like a therapist for her or anything because she randomly finds friends who help her sort that stuff out. But it's just the way it's written. It's just like, Sarah, these are sensitive topics. You cannot be right. Again, this is just like the poverty in the first book, where Sarah just doesn't understand the implications of all the stuff that she's putting in there. So these characters to us look so much worse than they do to her, because to her it's just like, oh no, they're just helping her. It's just the right thing to do. Yeah. She doesn't love it, but obviously it's going to be good for her. Whereas anyone who's like familiar with the topic is like, this is fucking deranged and extremely harmful. Why the fuck would you ever think to do this to someone you love? That's crazy.
And I'm not saying that like that's not something that can happen and can work out. It's just a very romanticized version of healing and getting through trauma. And a lot of times it's a lot more ugly. And what I can say is that it doesn't, like, she has, like, I'd say, like, emotional relapses, right? where you think, oh, she's doing better, but then something happens in the plot and she gets kicked back again, and then she has another epiphany, and then she gets kicked down again, from just the things happening around her, and then the romance and the reveal of Feyre dying and that kind of stuff, right? But it feels like if she wanted to go for the guts of the story and for the real hurting parts, she didn't do that well. Yeah. And for like, Nesta at some point says, she's like, yeah, because nobody likes me and nobody loves me or cares for me or is my friend. And then Cassian goes, I always was your friend. And it's like, but you see right here in Exhibit A that she doesn't feel like you are. I feel like we need to address that, but we don't. Instead, we kiss.
It's just I really think if such a load-bearing part of the things you write is like trauma and trauma recovery, I wish you'd do actual research into it so that it's not just kind of like recovery porn where it's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if that worked? And it's like, well, sure it would be, but in reality that's really not how it goes most of the time. These are extremely idealized. Please, like...
I think one of the parts that makes the whole story work out too conveniently is the house. And the part of, like, non-verbal bestie that the house takes over. Where it's like, yeah, that's kind of nice, but it would have more of an impact if we had one of her sisters or one of her new friends, or maybe, Amran or someone else jump over their own shadow and then make reach out and go, hey, I'll try and be here for you. You want the book? I came to this house. I know you hate me. I came here with a smutty book for you, and I will leave. Love you. Bye. Even that would... why are you trying to make me care about a house?
Right. It's one of the things where I'm like, if you want me to care about these three sisters and their relationship, you need to show me that they're working on trying to make it better, that there's something worth caring about. Otherwise I'll just be like, yeah, they shouldn't live together. Like, maybe they can, like, meet each other for coffee every few months or whatever, but I don't think, like, I'm looking at this and I go, I don't think these people like each other. I think they're codependent because they grew up together and went through trauma, but I don't think they actually like being around each other, and they don't have to be. They're adults, they don't have to be. But then Sarah's like, no, they all have to have the same friend circle where, everyone's paired off in a beautiful heterosexual way. It's necessary. And all their partners have to be best friends too. So you have, no one out of the circle. It's...
Yeah. I think in regards to this aspect of the story, it's just, again, like, none of these people have to feel relegated or obligated to help Nesta or anything like that. But that's the thing. Love, that kind of love or affection usually isn't transactional. Just because, quote unquote, just because someone was mean to you previously, if you love them, meaning you will go out of your way to try and help them, even if they hurl abuse at you. And sometimes that, like, initial sacrifice of going, okay, you're being a dick right now, and we will talk about this later, but right now you still need me, even though you want to throw a chair at me. That initial effort needs to be taken and, like, surrendered in order for the other person to get better. And if you look at the balance, it does feel unbalanced in the first moment, because one person has to do a lot more legwork and effort than the other person. But if it works out, that's something you can dress on later and be like, hey, so while you were mentally unwell, there are some things I want to unpack with you.
If we wanted someone who's really caring and willing to even take some, abuse without saying anything, Elaine was right there, but she can't do anything. She can't be helpful to the plot, right? So obviously we have to use the guy who mostly just ogles her and wants to fuck her, which...
That's why he endures. He wants the cookies so fucking bad.
I feel like a lot of it, there again, is the part where I feel like these relationships are cheapened by this soulmate concept. Because if you expect this to be like the right person for you, you would be willing to do a lot more legwork than for someone where you don't even know if this could ever be anything. And obviously, like, for Fair and Ryson is like a little bit necessary, but I also don't think it's that necessary. But especially for Cassian and Nesta, I feel like if they weren't mates, I feel like this would be so much more meaningful that, that they built a relation. I mean, also, if most of it wasn't horny, but I think this is all Sarah can write now. Again, we were both shocked at how Ryson and Farrah's fun banter was just mostly sex jokes and very little else.
My memory and brain betrayed me.
Yeah, no, I also thought it was just, oh yeah, they have fun banter, and then I read this and I'm like, these are just both very sleazy people. What's...
Where did my Farrah go?
Why is everything an innuendo? Why are these bitches so horny all the time? My God. Jesus Christ. No, it's, But yeah, no, I do think it's, if you're gonna have soulmates, I think you should, like, interrogate this concept a little bit more. Especially if you're writing 800-page books, like, you have the time for it.
It's not like we don't have the pages.
Right, especially for, like, someone like Nesta or Farrah who considers themselves, at least at some point, like, kind of unlovable, that they go, oh, do these people just love me because they know we're soulmates? Like, would they love me otherwise? What does this mean for me? But we don't even get that. It's just like, oh, we're mates. Oh, yeah, cool. Sex time. It's
it's a certainly not it grinds my gears a lot. That this is what we got, but yeah, overall, looking back at it, it's cheapened the series a lot for me. It's like previously I thought this was good quality, and now, now that I've got to taste other wines, I look back and I'm like, you're not the worst wine I've sampled, but God, you're not good.
Yeah, it's like, I would not pick you up on purpose again either.
Yeah, like, you're cheap enough to get for a simple get together, but not something I would indulge in, and that kind of does make me a little sad, actually. I don't know. I don't think we have talked about our feelings and all of this.
That's true.
But it does make me kind of sad. And honestly, kind of what you mentioned shortly for Throne of Glass, it does kind of make me scared to reread other stuff that I thought I liked. I don't know why, but because why I would have this fear, because in my mind I knew that Sarah J. Maas is not a sign of quality, right? But regardless, for my brain to feel so tricked upon rereading this series does make me feel a little nervous, actually.
Yeah, no, I was, most of my feelings about it after we finished ACOTAR was just, like, tired. I remember that before the reread, whenever we talked about it, I was like, I do have some feelings about it, and I have so many ideas on how to fix this. Yes. I would love to explore all of this. Like, sometimes I feel even motivated to write, like, a short, like, list of all the things, like, how to change it and how I would, fix the plot. But after ACOTAR, I was like, maybe this, I don't know if this is worth the effort at all. This is like, it might be worth the effort to do it for content, for engagement, you know, wink wink nudge nudge, but just for myself, I don't even want to be thinking about it anymore, frankly. I'm just so tired. Every time I get reminded of it, I'm like, oh yeah,
you're like the Ben Affleck cigarette memes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that horny heterosexual shit. Yeah, I remember it. It's just, it also makes me wonder about other books I read around the same time. But this is not the first time this has happened to me. One book I read very early on that I bought because of the cover, and it was, you know, new release, so it was hyped on BookTube, and I was watching it a lot at the time. And I read it, and I came out of it going, well, it wasn't like the best thing, but I didn't think it was bad. It was fine. The book in question is Caraval, and the book's bad. The book's real bad. It is legitimately oof. So there I was already like, oh my god, I liked this? What did I like about this? This is crazy. So I was not entirely caught off guard by something being worse than I remember, but still, the Akamav reread kind of did hit me hard, where I was like, oh no, how much brain work did I put into this to make it good? How much power did I draw from the excellent Charlie Bowater fan art to become delusional enough to look at this and go, yeah, this is real good. I really like this.
I remember when we were like exchanging messages and I was like, well, you know, I am disappointed, but you know, some stuff still has me got going and I like the first half. And you were just like, I fucking hate it and I'm miserable. And I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Like, honestly, I was
send, like, a care package?
I was so hyped until like the wedding scene, because I do love me some good drama, and that is excellent, tasty drama.
Hello, Feyre, darling.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like the wedding's not finished. Well, your high priestess seems to think so. It's like, they're so catty. I love drama. I think that was really fun. But shortly after, I was like, this is a slog. How did I think this was ever good? So this hit me really hard. I was like, oh my god. And I told people this was good enough that it's worth reading the first one for.
You got me to read the series.
I told people, oh yeah, this might be my favorite S.J. Maas book. Even though Throne of Glass is like, I like it more as a series, but from Sarah J. Maas, this might be my favorite. Insane. Now I'm like... Now, I can't even confidently say if I would like anything from Throne of Glass better, because my memory has been proven to be deranged. So
your reputation
I used to
is
be
on the line.
crazy. So I can't rely on that guy's assessment of books anymore. But the crazy part really is, this is also what I say when we talk about, you know, book reviews, and when I say, you know, the worst thing is to talk to someone who has bad taste, because they will rave about terrible books the same way they will rave about really good books. So you have no idea where they stand. No, not you. I mean, people who rave about The Bridge Kingdom and also rave about This Is How You Lose the Time War. You know, that's the kind of...
But I did like that.
Yes, but people who think it's legitimately good work.
I like that in a self-aware way.
There make be snakes. But, and I used to be that person, apparently. I was just reading everything and going, yeah, this was kind of a banger. Do I remember anything? Well, not anymore, but I'm on to the next book.
Remember, this wasn't even a week ago or something when I sent you a screenshot of like, okay, so guys, I get a lot of like recommendations on TikTok for like, oh, books to read, and then I just save them in a playlist and I never look at them again. But anyways, I see this video that was like it was something like my 6 5-stars books, whatever, that I read. Yeah, right. And there was multiple books on the same, like on one slide, and the first slide was, and I just see the cover of A Spear That Cuts Through Water, and I was like, oh, this is quality content. I swiped to the next picture, Bride.
Yeah, true. I remember.
And I sent it to you, and you were like, disqualified. I've never unliked a video this fast. I was like, nah.
Someone who recommends Bride is immediately like, okay, you cannot trust them. Either their taste is bad, or they're trying to trick you. Either way, it's you cannot believe anything they say. You cannot.
I just think these people are an enjoyer of everything, right? And I'm happy for them.
Yeah, this is the kind of person who watches Love Island and goes, wow, this is really quality entertainment. I feel riveted.
It is quality entertainment. It depends on
what kind of quality we're talking about.
What kind of mood you want to be in during your entertainment.
No, but
how do you want to be entertained?
This is the same kind of disqualifying as when someone's like, oh yeah, my favorite film adaptations. Obviously, Game of Thrones as a series. Second, Aragon. And immediately you're like, nah, no. I cannot trust whatever you say after this. Oh my god.
One of these is not like the other.
Yeah, one of these is distinctly unlike the other. But yeah, no, I am learning about. But I did have some standards even back then, because I remember around that time I was also reading Fallen Kingdoms, because it was also very popular on Book Talk. Mm-hmm. And I was very aware of how shit that was, but I finished it simply because I was like, well, I got this far, I might as well finish it, even if it keeps getting worse.
You had that non-defeatist energy. You were like, nah.
Yeah, I was like, well, I might as well. These books aren't that long. Like, they're pretty quick reads. And also, I want to see how insane this gets. And at the end of the last book, the 6th, I think I was just like, I shouldn't have done that. That was so bad. It wasn't even fun anymore.
6?
Yeah, it's 6. But again, they're like all quick reads. They're like 300 pages or something. They're really not.
That's still 6 times 3. Right?
1,800. Yeah. That's 2 SJM books.
Oh my god. I've read more than that in Crescent City alone.
Yeah, no, that's a thought, isn't it?
Jesus Christ.
The look in your eyes. Yeah. You're so haunted. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because what even happens? Anyways, we're derailing this again. We're both upset and scarred from the experience.
It has taught us many things, like the Ouroboros mirror. The Ouroboros mirror has shown us our darker previous selves who told other people that, yeah, read ACOTAR, it's not that bad. It's pretty good, yeah. The second book's worth it.
I was about to say, you looked in and you saw yourself from 10 years ago.
I thought you were just gonna be like, you looked in and you saw yourself, and I was like, yeah, that's what a mirror does. True. Yes.
Imagine Feyre would have been like, it's just me.
Yeah, at first just like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but that's just me. What? They're doing like the mirror test, like a cat, trying to figure out if she has like, self-awareness.
Intelligence.
Yeah. It's like, can she perceive herself as separate from the mirror? Is she aware of like mirroring surfaces? Like all the
bone cover, and the other side like, Jesus Christ, she's dumb. No,
everyone else goes crazy because they're like, there needs to be some sort of spell. There's something I'm not getting. Farrah's just like, neat. Takes
Let's just pick that up.
The power of a jock.
Low whiz and low int score. What doors that open for you? If you have high enough strength and constitution.
But yeah, no, this was an experience I don't recommend. I think if you know of yourself...
We should put this at the front. It's like, Talang didn't read. It's an experience we don't recommend.
Yeah, if you know of yourself that you have standards when it comes to reading fantasy books and that you don't like mindless entertainment much, especially not if the books get so long, do not bother at all. If you really like romantasy, I think the first book is worth it, and I think you can read the first book as a standalone with an open ending. I think that works extremely well. Like, yeah, some of the stuff is unaddressed, but... And if
Whatever.
you must, maybe read, like, the first 3, but I think after that it goes even more downhill. Like, in ACOTAR you start sliding and then there's just a cliff. So...
yeah. Don't go past this. Again, sometimes staying curious is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and that there's so many people online talking about it. If you just want to know what happens, there's so many summaries. You don't have to read it.
Yes.
Don't do this to yourself. PSA, do not read.
From now on, we gotta change the policy when we talk about Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah, you gotta be like, don't bother. Do not bother.
Do not bother. Anyways, thank you for listening. Again, on us rant this long. Hopefully, until the next implosion of the Maasiverse, you will not hear of this person on our channel as much anymore. Yeah, that being said, thank you and bye-bye.
Goodbye.